We're back with Metal Gear Solid 3 Part 2, the last good one. As in, Metal Gear Solid 3 is the last good one. We are once again joined by Ducky and Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
How are you all getting on?
I've aged quite dramatically since the last one.
Well, it's actually been 6 months since we recorded the last episode. But
we put Ducky in a home. It was all terrible
but it's
business.
only been a week for the listeners, PJ, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, a week. That's whenever I get around to editing this one. It could be a year's time.
Another 6 months' time. It'll be a Christmas present for everyone when it finally gets out.
We'll be rolling around the bingo hall there.
Yeah. Good man there with the swearing straight off the bat. It didn't even get 30 seconds in, and you were the one to drop the first F-bomb there. But
I did, but I also said the line again out of pure habit.
Yeah.
Well, the last podcast, once we recorded that, if there is any returning listeners,
we scared them all off.
Yeah. But the last time we recorded, myself and Ben were quite sauced. And
that's quite an understatement. We did go through an entire bottle of Jameson, so that's as quite sauce as it gets.
That's it. So
hanging off the chair with dear life.
The fact that there was a product at all at the end of it was
our miracle baby. In the end, it made it.
I had to upload it 3 different times to YouTube before I could get it past the censorship bots because of the amount of swearing in it. Because as I said, myself and himself here were absolutely twisted, and poor Ducky was on the other end doing a dry January sober as a judge. So
yeah, so it was very fun for me.
No crack at all. That's what he was.
Yeah, that's one thing that I can't handle doing at all is dealing with drunks when I'm sober. So fair dues to you, Ducky. Fair lady on that one.
You weren't all that bad. It was only at the very end of it is when it started to hit.
Yeah,
but like 90% of it, you were A1. Like,
you see, where we got caught was like we didn't go into it with the intent of recording a podcast absolutely buckled drunk, but because we had issues.
Man makes plans and God laughs.
Yeah,
it's just that we have a drinking problem. You see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
We hadn't planned on it, but it just went that way.
We planned to do it one way, and then we had drinks and. Well,
what happened was because we were buckled drunk and we couldn't get the audio interface working, and that took over 2 hours to get it working.
That's where Ducky's sobriety actually came in handy, because he was talking us through it.
It's just as well that there was one of us sober, because other than that, I'd say we could have been recording for hours on end, and then at the end hit playback and there's nothing there.
Please don't jinx it now.
The podcast started, you would be absolutely ossified.
Like I could hear you, like, sending directions down the mic, and I kept filling the glass up with Jameson whiskey, just like completely sauced off the head before we even begun to talk about the subject.
You got that, Ben? Now, you got that? And you're just like, just pouring up the glass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's trying it there now. Yeah.
I listened to the last one. And there's one point where you were saying something I think was quite serious, and then in the background I could just hear myself taking a piss. Just the water splashing. I was just like, oh god.
Yeah, but the fact that we managed to keep that show on the road at all is a testament, I think, to how much, how really invested in that game we all are. Because if it was any other subject, trying to navigate
no, PJ, it was for the fans. That's how we managed to get through.
Well, it's taught us all an incredibly unhelpful lesson, and that's why all 3 of us are drinking this time.
That's right, yeah.
That's it. Like the message that we came away with was, okay, next time we do it, rather than 2 of us getting pissed, the 3 of us will get pissed.
Yeah, it'll be 30% better.
Yeah, that's it.
But all in all, it was good crack.
Yeah.
But I remember dreading it the next day because I'd forgotten like 90% of what I said. And thankfully, a great chunk of it was cut out. I went off on very terrible rants, and Ducky was gasping, and it was awful.
I'll tell you how badly I was dreading it. I didn't edit the thing for 6 months. So
sitting there gathering dust, it's just like staring at you.
I don't know how you did it, because I remember like saying to you before the podcast that night and all, and I was like, really, you're drinking? Like, you're going to have to listen to all this back when you make the edit. And the idea of hearing myself talk, like when I'm absolutely out of my mind drunk, is awful.
Well, you
Just
see,
thinking about it.
on the previous ones, we've had a few bottles, right? But it's usually remained kind of calm enough. That was like I was.
Well, see, we're drinking spirits, so that's where you kind of.
I got far too excited. I was jumping up and down with them, running around with them, getting completely overexcited.
That's why you got sick on me. But,
yeah, so I'm gonna.
That's also why he ejaculated on you.
Yeah. Now, for those, plenty of people don't get the context. Prior to starting this podcast, we had very deep discussions about such subjects and
philosophy primarily.
Yeah.
So, we had this in a podcast before where I was talking about weed addiction, and then it was like, oh, lad, you can't be talking about weed addiction, the censors will pick it up. And I was like, what, so I can't say weed? What if I was talking about gardening or some such thing? Is that just a no? You can't make gardening content on YouTube for that reason. But
that's why my channel never took off.
Well, see, the problem is I think it's clever enough to know or to pay attention to the words, following it and chasing after it, so addiction would be probably the problem word there more so than weed.
You can't spell addiction without dick.
What if you have addiction, ripping up weeds?
So, look, we're nearly 7 minutes in and we have...
Look, what we want to say is we apologise for our unruly behaviour and incoherency of it all. And we're going to stay a little bit more focused on this one.
Yeah, with the grace of God.
Don't apologise. You don't owe them anything. You've given them free podcasts.
I'm being completely insincere. I'm just, there's no sincerity at all.
Well,
go to hell, a lot of you.
I think YouTube owe me an apology with their unrealistic standards of censorship. The amount of time I had to spend cutting swear words out of that last podcast because like I have no filter anyway, but I'm in a negative, like I'm in negative equity in terms of filter when there's drink involved. So I was beyond punctuating with swear words. So it took days to lock those bloody things out. So I'm going to try my living best now to avoid swearing like a gypsy. But anyway.
We'll see how it goes. We'll carry on as is.
While we tolerate this, what essentially is an attack on our Irish culture.
Yeah, it absolutely is, yeah.
That's it, yeah. It is an affront to my culture or lack thereof. But
first we had to deal with those bastard Danes, then the Normans, and now YouTube.
Aye.
Will it ever end for the Gaels?
Aye.
This is not fair.
Is that why we're here? Just to suffer?
I love the nonchalantness of that. Will it ever end?
Will it ever end for the Gaels?
It only ends when we do.
Why? Why have the spawns gone black on the ground?
I'm starting to get fed up of being invaded.
I don't fancy that a lot,
Yeah, I think you would like,
taste.
If we just snuck onto the shores of England and just, invaded them, I don't think they'd know what to do.
I mean, we tried. It didn't work out too well.
The master plan, they'd never see it coming.
Yeah.
Look, I give it to them. They were tough bastards, and technically they're Normans, not so much English, but that's a whole discussion in itself.
Right, look, the only history now that we should be talking about is the history that's pertinent to Metal Gear Solid 3.
Anyway, look.
Set in 1964.
1964,
so, with that, back on topic. God almighty, it's a sad state of affairs if I'm the one that's putting us back on topic.
Right, yeah, so to reel it back in, finishing off or picking up where we left off the last one.
Yeah, we went up as far as the virtuous mission, so up to the point where the boss, the legendary soldier, Snake's mentor, she has defected to the Soviet Union, much to Snake's disappointment. Snake got battered asunder, thrown off of a bridge. We had some lovely little character moments there where kind of a running theme in this, going from the Kojima playbook where he's like, Metal Gear 1 Gene, Metal Gear 2 meme, Metal Gear 3 scene. So the scene being circumstance and how your circumstances change and circumstances dictate your allegiances. So with that said, the boss's allegiance has changed now. She has seemingly come up with some reason as to why she should defect to the Soviet Union. So she's gone over to the enemy side. And this has absolutely broken Snake's heart. And then she followed that up by breaking his ribs and throwing him out of a bridge. And the boss unit in this game, the Cobras, they've all come out of the woodwork as Snake is getting pooched off the bridge. Vulcan has showed up. Vulcan was gifted by the boss as a kind of a present for her new allies in
Old commie town, yeah.
In Soviet Russia. The boss gifted to Colonel Volgan a Davy Crockett nuclear rocket launcher, essentially, and Colonel Volgan, being the devious old devil that he is, he fired said Davy Crockett nuclear missile on his own homeland, on the
he blows up the
Sokolov's research facility, and has essentially created a scenario in which World War III is about to kick off because a nuclear explosion has detonated on Russian soil, and because the Russians have detected the plane that dropped Snake in with the world's first Halo jump, taking America to task about, okay, one of your airships was in our airspace, and not too long after that, a nuclear weapon was detonated on Russian soil, and you're going to have a whole hell of a lot of explaining to do. So after Snake is airlifted out of the Russian jungle, Selinoyarsk, I believe is the name of the area.
Selinoyarsk, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Selinoyarsk.
Aye.
Alright.
You're no arse.
Aye. So
grab your fucking arse now.
basically, we get a phone call between President Johnson and
Khrushchev.
The
General Secretary Khrushchev, who's in charge of the USSR.
So the stakes are now much higher because the tension between the US and Russia is at boiling point, and essentially the Russian government want to unleash Armageddon and go to war with the United States and trigger World War III. But Khrushchev is trying to hold back the army from going mental, and he says, look, if I'm going to contain this, the US government need to do something to prove their innocence, to prove that they were not involved in the nuclear strike that was detonated by Colonel Volgan. So what's happened now is Snake, after getting battered and bruised, he's in the hospital. Major Zero comes in, and they've just started the Fox unit, and Major Zero is laying it out bare to you. He's basically saying, look, you're going to have to go back in, and how he has recovered in time. That's one thing that, the way I mentioned this in the last one, people have this thing of like, oh, it's such a goofy game, and it's so camp. I never, it has moments like that. But
I think maybe camp is a strong word. It certainly has a sense of humour itself, but look, when it wants you to take it seriously, you do.
It has moments of levity because, like, Snake in this one gets battered nearly every half an hour. He is just getting the worst doing that any protagonist
it's always fun to watch a leg getting the snot kicked out of him, like.
Yeah, like, I mean, the hammering he got on the bridge, and he got thrown, like,
he gets his elbow snapped.
Yeah, he's like thrown like 100 feet off a bridge down into a river, and somehow survives that, and then he's back, and I think it's 4 days is all he gets in hospital, and then he's been told, actually, you have to go back in there now, and you have to take out the boss, because the boss has defected, and in order to prove our innocence, you basically have a bunch of tasks now that you have to do to get us out of this jam and prevent World War III. So
I think actually their lives are even on the line as well.
Yeah,
I think it's mentioned.
That's right. They said, if you come back and you failed, you'll be facing a firing squad, because they're being treated now by their own government like they were accomplices in the boss's defection, because nobody expected this to happen. It's like, okay, how did the boss, the mother of our special forces, turn on us, abscond with 2 nuclear shells, trigger a nuclear explosion on Russian soil, and drop us in this mess, basically? So they're being held accountable. It's like, okay, you and your Fox unit, Major Zero, this was all your fault. So you can go in, sort out this mess, and if you don't do it, you'll be facing the firing squad. And because Colonel Volgan is part of the Brezhnev faction of the USSR, who are trying to oust the Khrushchev regime, he has also requested that you take out Colonel Volgan. So your mission is now
the three of them is to stop the boss, Volgan, and stop the weapon that they're creating.
The Shagohod, destroy the Shagohod, which is the weapon that was being developed by the guy you were originally sent in to extract, who you failed spectacularly to get out of there, and he was now being forced to complete said nuclear-armed battle tank. And so your mission is take out the Shagohod, take out Volgan, and take out the boss. And this is obviously a heartbreaking scenario for Snake to be in, because Snake has a very deep connection with the boss. The boss is his mentor, and he essentially a mother figure to him. She trained him from a very young age, and they have an almost kind of mother-son bond almost. And the thought that now he has to go in and kill who is essentially the person he cares most about in the world to prove his country's innocence ties back into the theme of, scene. And it's like...
Well, the main thing as well is like loyalty.
Yeah. So this is my favourite person in the world, and now because of who and what I am, an American soldier, I've been put in a scenario where I have to kill the person I care most about. And that is front and centre to the entire game. That's the meat of the game, I think.
Yeah,
and this is something that's hanging over Snake, but he knows he has to do it. And he's also kind of... The boss said to him when the boss appeared first in the game as radio support in the Virtuous mission, her whole thing was, Snake, you're going to have to consider all this stuff, like, is it going to be loyalty to me or loyalty to your country? The only thing that you can depend on with absolute certainty is the mission, Jack. And now he's in the mission, which means, he's going to have to kill the boss now. So it was almost like she knew. But we'll come back to that eventually. So, yeah. So the boss has reunited with the Cobra unit, which is her unit of soldiers that she fought with during World War II, also known as the Sons of the Boss, despite the fact that one of the members is about 200 years old. Photosynthetic sniper by the name of The End.
Is he 200?
I'm exaggerating. He's about 100 and something odd.
He's an old fella, He deserves his rest.
Maybe you can remember what age he's
just a second. PJ, is there any gummy bears left?
There is.
I'll have some of them.
You gummy bastard.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah, I think it's mentioned in the game he's over 100.
Yeah, he's well old anyway.
Yeah, he's on the dole the whole lot. He's
fine, strapping young man.
That's it, yeah, with his googly eyes.
When we get to that, yeah. So,
I'm loving your narration, lad. The Irishisms. It's like listening to Matthew McConaughey's audiobooks,
Matthew.
It's like the USSR.
USSR.
The Soviet Union.
Soviet Union.
That's not what I sound like.
The Cobras.
Cobras.
Yeah, good man.
The Cobra unit.
Aye.
Yeah, so anyway,
The pack of bastards.
Them boys. Just, a little, I think I already mentioned in the previous part, but the Cobra unit is where the codename Snake came from. That's this kind of origins. That's just a little trivia for you. That's nice.
Yeah. So, because this game is a prequel, it does a very, very good job of, say, planting the seeds for all the things that once you get further down the Metal Gear timeline, it all stems from this, which is lovely. Because in the very first Metal Gear game that was released on the MXX back in 1987, you're introduced to the character of Big Boss, and now you're kind of getting the precursor to even him. So it's like, okay, so before there was a Big Boss, there was the boss, and so on and so forth. So this game does what any good prequel should do, and it gives you a starting point to everything. So, yeah, with that said, we are now getting flown back in. And
it's what is it, like a kind of a jet or something like that?
Yeah,
and as you're lying down.
So they said that they can't risk a halo jump this time because obviously now.
Oh no! See, with the Virtuous mission, there was kind of a point of being stealthy, but now you're going in with kind of Russia's blessing. It's now kind of like
you have to prove to some degree that you did.
It's
intervene.
a joint operation, essentially.
Yeah, because the American government are being tasked now with proving their innocence, so as to. Avoid
tensions between the two of them are high, but Khrushchev, I think historically was one of the more friendly ones towards the US, and it was under him I think the USSR dissolved, so he wants to kind of keep that pot from boiling, so he's kind of giving your blessing for America to operate as long as they clean up this mess.
Yeah, well, and I'd be lying if I said I knew anything about Russian history, but it's also, there must be a bit of self-preservation involved there, because he obviously doesn't want to be...
PJ Bolshevik, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Correct.
He knows nothing, he says. He's like, was it Alec Trevelyan in fucking GoldenEye?
Yes.
So you arrive this time in a jet. It's like a stealth jet.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like, that's one of those jokes that traditionally launch nukes and stuff, or is it? Or it's not. It's not a
I think it's a
B-52
relatively
bomber.
new-
It was like a single person, like it was like a UAV, only for a person could fit in it.
I'm damn sure that when I was a wee lad, I had a little kind of a equivalent of a dinky of one of those. And for the life of me, I don't know. I'm not very good.
But
with
see,
the
in the
names of
game,
my
it's
aircraft.
like it's not really a pilot thing. He's lying down in it, so it's something.
Well, it is being piloted. But
Yeah, but I don't mean it's not piloted by him. I don't think, is it?
No.
Yeah.
There's some other guy flying it, but you're in what is kind of like a hollowed out drone almost.
Yeah, so it's designed to be kind of small and under the radar, I guess.
Yeah, and so and you get like the Northern Lights are there in the background, and it's kind of cool. Like Snake, he's there, and he's like, all of his. You're
See,
being
one of those was a POV moments. If you look inside, there's like a poster of a woman inside.
the poster of an old tasty young one.
And a last glimpse of a bit of old gowl before we send you back
That's
into
it.
the 100-acre woods.
That's a bit of motivation there.
So I love how sexually charged Japanese developers are. You always see it in Japanese games. There's always some completely over the top sexual like
It's a
stuff in
complete
it.
understatement.
Yeah, for no good reason, and I love them games for that.
Well,
Yeah.
Because it's just like, cause I'm a guy. I like women. Yeah, put that in there. It doesn't need to make sense.
I'm a simple guy. I
But-
see a bit of gowl, I'm happy.
yeah, it's like, say, once you're looking at anything that was developed in a nation that wasn't influenced by the Catholic religion or the Christian faith, if you will, like, you know, they have absolutely no shame whatsoever in lusting after the contradictory gender. In fact, they revel in it, and you know,
Yeah, while they're doing that,
and their games are better for it.
And
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree.
while they're
Although-
doing that, making games better, they were over here beating lads for writing with their left hand, you know?
Yes,
It's a complete contrast, like
yes.
Christendom, huh?
But with that said, I kind of feel like I have a bit of an identity crisis if all shame is absent from my life, because I was brought up in a very kind of a Catholic setting and went to I was a what you call it, an altar boy. I wasn't molested.
So the story goes, but that's yet to be proven.
There you go. But
So you have to be a pretty altar boy to get molested.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's
He
it.
was a
So
pimply little
That's
ugly
what happened there.
bastard, yeah.
I was
That's where
genetically
his insecurities came from.
yeah.
Priest wouldn't go near him.
No, that's where some of my insecurities came from. I have loads of other ones for many another reason that we won't get into today.
Is it like PJ start wearing the little altar boy dress, you know, kind of higher and higher
Yeah,
every day
yeah.
just to get the priest's
Yeah,
attention?
my-
Just wasn't
There was
working.
other boys getting
my-
molested and he started getting jealous.
My
yeah.
my gown was cut shorter than the rest of them, but I didn't even get so much as an old sniff of the Eucharist. But there you go.
He was there in the confession box. I have a confession to make. I am having impure thoughts about you, Father.
Yeah,
Get out. Get the hell out of here.
yeah.
Oh no, I dropped my communion. I'd better pick it up.
Oh
Off the
no.
ground.
I'm after dropping the body of Christ on the ground.
I'm after dropping the little bell thing that I'm supposed to incrementally ring every so
dear.
often. I
hope-
actually remember when I
Father,
was.
should I swing my hips while I'm swinging the incense
I
around?
hope this very tight gown doesn't gather around my ass.
I remember when I was an altar boy, it was a really bad one because you're supposed to ring that little bell at certain points, but even out from like childhood, I had a very bad attention span, so I used to forget where it was at what point I was supposed to ring the bell. And next thing, like I'd just be there, and next thing I noticed that like a couple of the other altar boys were staring at me, and I'd be like, "Oh crap!" And next thing I'd just start ringing the bell, and like it would be the priest would be in the middle of a sentence, and I'd be like ringing the bell, and he'd be like looking at me. Then and I thought I'm definitely getting molested, but I never was.
Yeah. You started doing it on purpose, yeah.
It's
in
probably
hopes
because
of
you
it.
weren't ringing the bell on time is why you didn't.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't get so much as a baiting off of the priest. I was very disappointed altogether.
That's fucking terrible. That is.
I know, yeah.
For all our, like,
is it any
foreign-
wonder I'm as messed up as I am?
You think he would have thrown you an old sympathy one or something?
That's it, yeah.
A bit of sympathy, Mickey,
He's
you know?
clearly no man of God.
Yeah.
Just a bit of, even just slipping the old finger in, you know, where you like a ring or something.
Or even an old bit of the body of Christ that was kind of
I'll give you the
Seasoned.
body of Christ.
seasoned, if you will, yeah.
Yeah,
That had some of the sacramental wine.
some of the juice of Christ on it.
That's it, yeah.
Body of Christ.
Yeah.
You damned the whole church to hell because you didn't ring the bell in time.
I wonder now, will this get past the censors? I mean, I wonder, are they sensitive to this chat?
After
You see, I don't. We haven't sworn overtly, so I think you'd get away with it.
We're just on the topic of molestation of young boys. Surely that'll make past the censorship.
That word is what would really trigger.
Oh, that's like you must tread upon this land unmolested.
Say fiddle. There you go.
The only swearing that's been done thus far is me swearing allegiance to the Lord. But
God Almighty.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So look, with that, we're getting dropped back into Selino Yask to have another go off of... one of the other... We're supposed to extract Sokolov again. That thing has... That objective has carried over from the Virtuous mission. So our objectives are as follows. Save Sokolov, kill Volgin, destroy the Shagohod, and eliminate the boss. And the last one is something that Snake is really struggling with here because, this is his...
So kind of tying back to a point from the previous one, it's like he couldn't really imagine a world where, like I said, he's a Green Beret and he's kind of wet behind the ears. So he's a very kind of single-minded thing of like loyalty.
He's just a soldier.
Well, it's kind of as well like, I'm born in a particular country, I'm molded behind this ideology. There's no way he can think about deviating from that. So now his mentor has done just that. So he's caught between two worlds of loyalty. And even from the beginning, he can't bring himself to fucking shoot her when he drops down, which we'll get to in a second.
Mind your language.
I apologise.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You'll be the whole day in confession, Ben.
I hope I'll definitely get molested. There's no doubt about that.
I will hear your sins personally in the morning.
I was a cute little boy. I would have definitely gone... worn like a ring by a priest.
He would have worn you like a sock,
like a Roddy Dial book or something.
You'd have climbed inside you there, like an old wet sock.
Anyway, so to kind of reel it back in, from molestation to the Snake Eater mission, you're dropped in back into the 100 Acre Woods. So what was it? Yeah, so you're given your mission rundown by Major Tom, who then changes his name to Major Zero. So I think in the previous one we mentioned that his name is Major Tom based off a tunnel from The Great Escape. And apparently he picked the wrong one. He thought that was the one they escaped in. So there's a whole thing about there. Like,
so it was all his fault, essentially. So
you could draw like, is it a bad omen? Was it bad luck or some crap like that? Whatever. So he changes his surname or his name into Major Zero.
Yeah, he reverts back to he was Zero all along, and he just said, you know what, just call me Major Zero, which begs.
And that's the last time they'll ever talk about his code name ever again.
Yep.
It's actually never mentioned. I don't think
that's the last time that they'll talk about his code name in a good game.
So, are we going off already?
No, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Oh, a bit of restraint. I love it. That's pretty nice. It. Bye. He's evolved.
A new, more responsible Peter.
See, when he switches from Jameson to Lech, there's restraint involved. So you're dropped back in.
There's all potions.
Yeah. See that's what happens. You see,
feed him the right combination to get the right personality.
The Jameson brings up all of my demons and whatever I feel about not being molested by a priest as a child. But a demon that has never left me is the demon of MGS4 and how badly that traumatized me. That game as of this month was released 16 years ago, believe it or not. Wow. 16 bloody years ago, and I am still sour about it. And in the spirit of keeping on track, that's all I'm going to say about it for now.
Good man.
Back
yourself.
to MGS3. So
you get your mission rundown, and it's as we just said, the boss, Sokolov, the whole lot. So that's where he explains it. Someone new is on the mission who takes over from the boss is Sigint, who is Donald Anderson from the first game, isn't it?
You're reading that too quickly.
No?
Yeah.
No, sorry, he does, but he's not him yet.
Well, okay, look, the cat is out of the bag, but I can't remember now at what point. I think they might have only retroactively revealed that maybe in 4 they said,
I brought it up 4 by mistake again.
Who was actually Donald Anderson.
Okay, we'll just drop that. We'll just call him Sigint.
Yeah, I might be wrong because my memory's gone.
No, I think you're right, because there's a part in 4 where the whole thing about Zero, he's in the chair, so he can't do anything. Well, look, we're not going there. Like, Sigint fills in the role for the boss.
Sigint, signal intelligence.
Ducky,
come on yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the correction. I needed that.
Yeah. I remember the last one.
You have to be correct with these types of things. Excuse me, his name is not Sigint.
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Ducky, by the way?
Desperados.
Oh, you're disgusting. You know that?
Yeah, you said that already.
Yeah, but I want everyone else to know now that we're live on the podcast. You manky boy.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, look, it's
Everyone already knows.
what's it?
I'm a manky boy.
Sigint? Is that it?
Sigint. Yeah,
Sigint.
so basically he says his name comes from the combination of the words signal and intelligence.
Yeah. So he kind of has the rundown of weapons and stuff, which is what the role the boss filled in the Virtuous mission. So he's there now in that kind of job.
He's actually one of my favourite characters on the Codex as well.
Yeah, I remember you always a good truck for old Sigint by.
Well, it's just because I don't know when you're going to get into talk about the kind of gameplay side of things.
Oh, we'll get into
one
that,
of my fondest memories of Metal Gear Solid 3 was the attention to detail with codec calls, particularly with Sigint, because you could just change into whatever camo and call him up and he'd have something to say about it.
True.
And I've lost hours in that game as a youth
What was
just
it,
listening to all of the codec calls I could possibly imagine they might comment on.
There's one clip in particular I watched where it's like he throws on woodland camo and then you call Sigint and he's like, you're wearing woodland camo, so you usually wear that in the woods in order to blend in. And then your man switches to blackface and calls and he's like, you're wearing blackface. And then the video just ends. It's just like,
Wait, no, is this a real thing? Is this in the game?
yeah. But the thing is,
that'd be a spoof.
I don't think he actually, he's not looking at it as a racist thing. He, it's like, oh, you'd wear that in the dark.
Yeah, the game came out before like blackface was like a common thing, so it was just the camo itself was just known as blackface.
The scene in Hot Shots? Your man was applying the camo, the black camo, and he hands it to your man next to him was the black fella. And he just reels it back in. It's like, sorry, man.
Righto.
Anyway, racism aside.
Yeah, see, this is more stuff that Tomokazu Fukushima would have been responsible for, because that is something that they outright said that he did, was he wrote all the codec stuff. And
what an absolute hero.
Yeah,
like that stuff made me so happy as a kid playing that game, just going through all it. And you don't get that kind of attention to detail in games anymore, at least.
No,
it's
but
you see,
not even 4, 5, what's the other one? Peace Walker.
I was so angry at 4 that I had no codex, and I was like, that was one of the best parts of 3. Just listening to the conversations of these people, these quirky, fucking hilarious people.
See,
that's just gone. They just cut the whole lot out of it.
Such like a massive. Like, there's so many lines of dialogue and just codec calls, just ridiculous. It's like half the game. And
like you really felt like you knew the characters at the end of the game if you spent any time in the codec.
It's just that level of love and attention to detail. It's like he didn't even have to do that, but he was like, this is my department, I'm going to make sure it's as perfect and as presentable as possible.
Yeah, whilst we're on that topic, say, with regards to, like, I actually had a little bit of a conversation with a couple of fellas in the comments of the last podcast, and there seems to be a good shot. It's not like there's a ball of comments, but there's a few of them there, and a lot of people are Metal Gear Solid 4 sympathizers and Kojima sympathizers, but more so Metal Gear Solid 4. But so just for the record, Ducky, because you're the hotshot YouTube sensation here. So you're on the one page as the pair of us, aren't you? Metal Gear 4 is rubbish.
Oh yeah,
totally, absolutely rubbish. And this is one of
I'm not saying like every single thing about the game was rubbish. Just the game as a whole was rubbish.
Yeah. There's parts of
a great deal of why it's so bad is that there was actually genuinely good ideas there. But it's just so executed poorly.
But every time something good happens, they follow it up with something dreadful and just completely undermine it. So now you have all these kind of disembodied little good bits.
Well, you see, bring up from the last one was like when I played it, it dropped in, and one of the best things I liked about it was Old Snake. He looked great, and Hader bringing in that kind of very vinegary, gravelly voice was perfect.
Yeah, there was.
And then they try to emphasize just like, oh, it's so old and miserable in the press, and then you got these yokes with big fat thighs mooing at you.
Oh no! To be fair, now I'll stop you right there. I love them because
I know because I listen back to the old podcast and look, it's grown. I've softened a small bit. Yes, it is amusing.
Ducky, I know. At time of recording this podcast, you haven't listened back to the previous one, but I actually put in little clips of those yolks making the cow sounds as we were talking about it.
Yeah, I missed
I'm completely with you on this one, and I remember back in the day I was actually staying with my buddy Cummins. Big shout out to you again, Cummins. But I was staying with him, and he was also a big Metal Gear fan. He was coming in and out from work. I was playing the game. He was like, "Oh, what's happening now?" And he was kind of looking at it. And I remember when he saw those things, he's like, "That's absolutely stupid." But even back then, in back of my head, because I was very uneasy because I really wasn't liking the game, and I was like, "Please God, let something happen that this is going to turn itself around." But I remember always kind of just having a warm, fuzzy feeling inside me whenever those things would show up and make that sound, because as
look,
rural,
it is dumb as hell.
Oh, it is,
but it is funny. Okay, yeah.
Like
it is like, you know,
as country people, as cultures, like once you're been surrounded your entire life by cattle, it almost feels like it's a bit of a shout out to you, the rural country lad. And it's like,
made Tipperarius on the side of it.
Yeah. It's like, here's these scary cattle mix.
There's
and
nothing
it's
scary.
like,
There's nothing scary about it at all.
They absolutely freak me out. It's like, what if you got an Ed 209 from RoboCop, one of the scariest robots ever put to film, and give it, like, you know, big, thick, got girl ties, and made it sound like a cow, and it's hunting you down to kill you.
That scene
How is that not anything other than absolutely terrifying?
It's dumb as hell, but yeah, look, it's grown on me, but it is
so just
it
turn
is funny.
in the corner and
it
see
is
a
funny,
giant mech with latex trousers looking at you, robot guns in your face, and just going, nah.
You see, when I came into the game, like the tone I was setting, I was like, oh, if this is not like any other previous title, this is serious. Look, Snake is old now, and you got these private military guys facing off, and all of a sudden you just see these things leap into the air. I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Well, sure, look, we're getting sidetracked anyway.
Yeah,
there's many problems with that game as well. But
you have to reel it back in. We're talking about
those.
Snake Eater. So now you're on what is called the Snake Eater mission. You got the rundown and so forth. You're introduced
Sigint. I think Sigint is kind of where we're gonna.
Yeah, so you're introduced to Sigint.
He chat away there and going for Lash.
What did I tell you at the start? Hang on. Okay.
Yeah, 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, sure, Ben. If you want to sum up who was on the codex when you start, kind of.
So you got you got your boys in the codex. You got Major Zero. You got what's her face?
Paramedic,
Sigint, and I think that's it. So a point there we forgot to add was that you're supposed to meet up with an agent known as Agent Adam. So he's kind of like your man on the inside. You're supposed to meet up with him and all that kind of job.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like a Russian soldier to kind of lend you a hand, isn't it?
A double agent, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're dropped into the 100 Acre Woods. It's the area you initially dropped in the Virtuous mission, but it's nighttime. So you're heading back to the facility to meet up with Agent Adam. And on your way there, you hear a horse and come across said horse who's out in the middle of the woods for some reason or another. And as Snake approaches it to kind of investigate,
give it an old pat, head pat,
an old pat and all that kind of job. Good horse, good boy.
It's a fine looking horse.
Jeez, that's a nice looking horse. And before things,
is he for sale? Is he?
Yeah. Before things get too weird with the horse, the boss shows up, and she is donning a little kind of poncho, which is pretty cool. And she pretty much just tells Snake, who she addresses as Jack, because it's an intimate kind of relationship between the two. She's like, go home, Jack. You don't belong here. You don't have what it takes to survive out here.
You can't beat me, lad.
Yeah. And, Snake is like, oh, God, it's yourself. He's a bit kind of shocked, to see her.
And it's like, yeah, I'll fight you. I'm not afraid of you.
Oh, no, it's the woman I've been sent in here to kill.
Oh, gee, yeah. Which he doesn't do, because, reluctancy.
Yeah, he hesitates.
So his hesitancy is taken advantage of, and she sprints towards him, casting the poncho aside. It's very cinematic, very nice, and reaches out to grab his gun, pulls it from him, and then just disassembles it before his very eyes.
She's an absolute demon for that in this game. She keeps on in cutscenes breaking your gun, and it carries over to the gameplay. The gun that you had is gone now, so you're sent in there with a pistol, and now all of a sudden you've near a pistol. And
well, I like to always say about Metal Gear Solid 3, it's a game with a lot of heart and soul, because the whole game is you getting the heart and soul kicked out of you.
That's it. It's quite harrowing, especially where this game goes with all the stuff that happens to Snake. And as we all know, this is the story of Big Boss, and we all know that big boss has an eye patch because he's obviously lost an eye somewhere along the line. So it stands to reason. Like, I remember the first time playing the game, I was thinking to myself, okay, at what point is he going to lose the eye? Because, you know, he's just, from the word go, he is getting battered left, right and centre, and he's going up against his mentor, who, as far as he's concerned, and he has a conversation with Zero shortly after he encounters the boss, where it's like, in terms of raw skill, I don't think I'll ever be able to match her. And his concern is, I'm not going to be able to do this. One, emotionally, I don't think I can follow through with killing who is essentially my mentor and like mother figure. I don't think I'm physically or emotionally going to be able to do it. And yeah, so
But see, from that point as well, like, I'd say she's still training him. Like, from that point, your life bar is as low as it gets, and it begins to grow as you're
every day is a school day, boy.
Every day is a school day.
Well, I will say it's probably worth a mention around this point as well. Like, the voice acting in the game is absolutely phenomenal.
Sublime.
Yeah, it's great.
I said you got, like, is it Laurie Allen that does?
Yep.
That's right.
Oz?
Correct.
Yeah. And like everybody else in the cast, there's no bad voice actor among them. Maybe Vulcan, he's probably a bit
No,
cheesy,
I
but
like
that kind of
him.
lends it.
No,
lends into the game. So
like, because he's just a round bastard, having that very
Yeah.
gravelly, just completely evil voice is so fitting.
I'm an evil man.
I love what an unapologetic bastard he is. Every time he shows up, like,
It's a point they made in the previous one, like, to contrast with like previous antagonists where they could have been painted in some respect sympathetic. There is absolutely no sympathy to be awarded here whatsoever, and it's perfect. It embraces that to its full. Like, even when he's at the end of the Virtuous mission, when he tears open the case to pull out the Davy Crockett, he just, like, his big teeth are just gritting and he's just covering over like a gremlin, and he looks so excited.
Yeah, he's
It's
almost
demented,
you can tell that, like, he's nursing a horn at the thought of, like, I'm going to nuke a load of lads here now, and I'm going to kill a load of lads with this nuclear blast. And he's
But that's what I mean. It's pure. It is very Saturday morning cartoon almost, but because of the atmosphere of the game and the highs and lows and the kind of,
Perfect, yeah.
the quirky and kind of weird atmosphere about that the game is able to carry so gracefully, that it just works.
all of the depth and the intrigue comes from the character of the boss, and Vulcan is there to do one job and one job only, to be the greatest bastard who put on a pair of shoes, and he does that perfectly. Once you compare him to a villain from the last one, like Sol the Snake was a terrible bastard of a man, but his actual goal made him more of an anti-hero than a villain. Like, he wanted to liberate.
But you see, there's a thing, was a difference between a villain and an antagonist. A villain is just like literally a Disney villain, just pure bastard and evil, versus an antagonist who is simply just there to face off against the protagonist.
They're at odds with your protagonist, your lead character. So,
but like I said,
they're not necessarily bad. It's just what they believe your character doesn't believe.
Yeah, and Saldus, like, despite the fact Saldus had a lot of villainous traits and did a lot of terrible things to, like, you know, had child soldiers and all that kind of jazz, his actual mission, trying to liberate humanity from the control of this shadow government of, you know, the Patriots, that was actually, like,
but even something on a personal
play
level where he wanted to leave a legacy, that is as human as it gets. Like, everyone has that kind of within them. One day I'm going to expire. I just want some shred of proof that I existed.
Yeah, when some part of
something to say that I was here.
Which is one of the things in the Banshees of Inisherin.
I can't pass on a gene, so I want to pass on a meme. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, back to this scene.
Yes, back to the scene.
Do you want to take it away for the next one, Ducky? So we just got the snot beat out of us by the boss, and we're heading over back to the facility. So work away.
Don't forget the bit now. Did you mention the horse?
I mentioned that.
Did you? Oh, grand, yeah.
They got very weird.
Grand, okay, go on.
Right now, so this is probably a lot fresher in your minds now than it is mine, because I haven't played this game extensively in a long
Don't worry,
while.
I will correct
But
you.
from what I understand, you're on your way back to the facility where you initially rescued Sokolov from in the Virtuous mission.
Where you met Ocelot.
Yeah, well, you're going, and the Ocelot crew and what have you, but you're going there to meet up with Adam, who is the double agent that is supposed to be lending you a hand.
There's two KGB agents, isn't it? They are
so you're meeting up with Adam, but he also mentions Eve.
Yeah, so this was actually based off actual history. Two people by the code names Adam and Eve who defected from Russia. So it's kind of loosely based in reality. But you're going there to meet up with one of the defectors called Adam, who's going to lend you a hand.
He's basically going to tell you where
I'm too
Sokolow's
foggy on it now, so you're going to do a better job of it.
No, you're doing great. You got it pretty well. So...
But yeah, you arrive on there and you get ambushed by Ocelot yet again, with his Cobra unit. No.
I think you're accosted first by basic enemies.
That's right, yeah.
And you're meant to meet Adam.
Normal
But
sentries.
instead, the bike shows up and it's a woman. And it's Eve.
Yeah. So you arrive on there, you're accosted by soldiers, and you're saved by a mysterious stranger on a motorbike.
Tits McGee.
Yeah, Tits McGee, who happens to be a woman with a fine pair of chesticles.
I don't know who that fella is, but he's got a fine ass.
And
I like his tits.
Geez, that lad has some tits on him. But
Jeez.
But so when Snake demands to know who this stranger is, and the stranger proclaims herself as Eve, who would be the other defector mentioned in your dossier
Eva.
at the mission beginning.
Eva, yeah.
Or Eva, yeah.
Oh, just a quick mention, just to say how much fun this game has with itself. She beats the enemies using her bike, which is
she does kind of
incredible.
an uppercut.
Yeah,
she does an uppercut.
No, not
with the back wheel.
not with them. Not with them.
Jump in the gun.
She does that with Ocelot later, which we'll get to.
Shows up.
But just the fact that she doesn't. She has a gun. She has a Scorpion, the little submachine gun. But instead, she just no. Oh, no, the Mauser.
It's a Mauser, yeah.
A Chinese Mauser. Hang on. Just to emphasize that point. The Mauser she has isn't a German one. It's a Chinese one.
It's not a standard Russian issued weapon. It's a Chinese one.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. But she based lads with the bike, which is a fantastic spectacle. Like when I played this game first, this was the first game I played. Like when I saw that, I was just like, "This is amazing. This is as Japanese as it gets." Like, but basically, she pulls off the helmet and she's revealed herself as Eva.
Be a lovely blondie woman.
Hi. Oh my God, you're a woman! Thank God. I had feelings there for a second.
Ugh, a woman.
Wait a minute, second. You're telling me you don't have a penis? Get back on your bike. Piss off.
Rev up.
I was fantasizing about a woman.
Yeah.
But she tells you that Adam couldn't make it, so she's there. The pair of you head inside the little facility where you initially saved Sokolov, and she begins her little, what would you say, soiree to woo Snake.
Yeah, straight off the bat.
She's now seductress, yeah.
Straight
Black
off the
Widow,
bat.
if you will.
Like, she even, pulls down the jumpsuit a bit to reveal a cracking pair of tits. And Snake is you can actually go into the first person view, and Snake is transfixed with said tits.
Snake in this one is like a little autistic boy or something. He just doesn't know how to talk to women.
It's strange, yeah. He doesn't know how to talk to women at all, but he can't help. But
the thing is,
he's just locked on her tits the whole time. He
can't talk to her, but then when she produces a weapon from, which is the M1 911, the silver one, he's fawning over it, completely ignoring her.
Well, I think all lads can sympathise with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't talk to women, but I could talk all day about cars.
Yeah, and to Snake, guns are his cars, so...
Yeah, so she hands him... Which is to replace the weapon that the boss disassembled earlier, which is the same model, but it's a
45, isn't it? Colt 45?
M1 911 Colt 45. He starts falling over its design and all that kind of job.
But it's been expertly modified, and he's having a bit of
I've just looked up the exact lines that he uses for the gun, which is one of my favourite bits in the game where he's describing the gun.
Go on.
The feeding ramp has been polished to a mirror sheen. The slide's been reinforced, and the interlock with the frame is tightened for added precision.
Yeah.
The sight system is original too. The thumb safety is extended to make it easier to finger. Long type trigger with no slip grooves. A ring hammer. The base of the trigger guard has been filed down for higher grip. And not only that, nearly every part of this gun has been expertly crafted and customized. Where'd you get something like this? So yeah, absolutely fawning over the gun.
Just on that, but you can't beat a good ring hammer.
Bit of fingering is a good,
yeah, something for an easier finger,
yeah, absolutely.
Because
ignoring
it's hard to work with some equipment.
Yeah, what I love as well is there's no subtlety to Eva trying to seduce him. She not even just straight up whipping her tits out, and he's just completely ignoring it. I couldn't give a toss.
She realises all I have to do is give him a really good gun. And
listen, never mind you. Do you see the iron sights on this yoke? It's amazing.
Get your tits out of the way and I'll show you
Get out
this.
of the way, woman. Be gone,
Just slap
tramp.
her. Backhands both tits.
But-
Just slaps him out of the way.
He has a very kind of an inherent distrust for her because he's like, you're coming at me now with fucking tits and presents. Like, this is all a bit too good to be true. And because he's just fresh out of the hospital, and once again he's no sooner landed and he's been battered again by the boss, so he's kind of exhausted. And her whole thing is, look, you get some kip there, I'll keep watch out, and we'll start afresh in the morning.
It's interesting that the point was raised that he doesn't trust her, but then immediately goes to sleep around her.
But he can't help but go to sleep because he's exhausted. It's even
I don't trust you, but
a
I gotta
conversation.
take to the
Well, I
cat.
suppose she saved him as well. So she could have easily just let him die
Yeah.
if she wanted him dead.
I don't think he has a choice in the matter. He's
He's a sleepy boy.
paramedic says it to you, you shouldn't even be out of the hospital at this stage. You were, beaten in an inch of death, and you got 4 days in an ICU, and then you were sent back in. So, essentially, he shouldn't be standing, but because Snake is some man.
I think what it's doing is it's just introducing the save system. That's what that is, isn't it? But it's also to progress time in game,
I suppose.
more or less.
She gives you the mask there as well, doesn't she?
She gives you the
Scientist suit, isn't it?
scientist gear and all that jazz.
Yeah.
The mask is when you
disguise,
drop him with.
Yeah.
So you kip away anyway for the night, and as you wake in the morning, you are that's when the Ocelot unit arrives.
The Ocelot unit has
And Ava's just like,
surrounded the building,
Jesus, these boys.
Yeah, so
she kind of takes off first, but she's still in the area. So you're in this room. The Ocelot unit is coming for you. So what I think most players do, which is what I did, is hide under the bed first, let them all into the room, and then show a flashbang. And then,
Well, the game kind of puts you under the floor, doesn't it, initially?
I love that.
You're supposed to, because they get up and they move the bed, and at that point there's another bit where you can go into first person view, and you can see that Snake is still staring at her tits because, at the end of the day, he's a man.
I'm only a man.
Never mind the 12 lads outside.
Yeah. What about it? But
It might be life or death, so I'm just going to stare at these jokes.
yeah, the prime directive just cannot be superseded. He just is laser focused on those tits.
I could just imagine him in real life, and she's just like, if they ever made a movie about it, that was true to the game. She's like, oh my god, there's lads outside. He's just locked between our chest.
Lads, is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Lads, is it? Right, yeah.
They're coming in. Huh?
Who's coming in? Who's coming in where? What?
How are we going to get around these tits? But
So get under the floor. Not unless they're coming.
But anyway, so the Ocelot unit are set upon you, and the player's kind of presented with whichever way he wants to approach it, stealthily or just full on
Well,
blasting.
you can actually trank them almost all of them from underneath.
Yeah. So
The floor.
yeah, what I did, I think I threw a flashbang as soon as when they all gathered in the room, then just knocked them out.
there's a snaky boy up on the roof, and
Yeah.
The roof, he used to catch me out every time as well.
yeah. So
We're like, how am I getting spotted?
yeah, you go out into the old grass and you just kind of go into first person view, and I think you can press, is it R2 and L2, and you can kind of prop yourself up a small bit, and if you wait, he'll present his head. And you can
He'll appear, yeah. Well, see, but the problem is, the version of that game I played the most was the original one wasn't Subsistence, it was the one with the lock camera.
oh yeah.
So, and it was especially tricky to spot him
Do you know,
in that game.
I prefer that locked camera.
Well, see, I do too, but I think it's only because that's the version I played initially. I feel like I'm kind of
You're kind of
biased.
conditioned for
you
it.
know?
There's that.
I think, if I was to take a logical look at it, the free camera is just a more comfortable way to play it.
Well, yeah, I guess so, but because all the other Metal Gears that came before it had a locked camera, and that was kind of part and parcel of playing Metal Gear for me, so it was kind of like, it just felt natural.
But they only introduced it in the second one, didn't they?
Well, I reckon it was just going to, I think the game is better with the free camera. I just feel like the lock camera was kind of like a relic
But
left over from the other games rather than a feature.
HD collection? Is that free camera?
yeah.
That's the Subsistence
that's
one,
better.
Yeah, the beauty of it is you can press in, is it R3, when you press in the analog, you can switch between the locked camera and the free camera, so you can have the best of both worlds. So from that point of view, it is objectively better. But what I found about, because you're in a jungle environment, and say it's not like the Big Shell or Shadow Moses where everything is kind of very easy to kind of navigate, but because you're in this kind of a jungle environment, if you had the free camera all the time, you could get turned around on yourself fairly handy. But with the locked camera, you knew where you were going. Like, it was...
I don't know. I never had that issue when I was doing the free camera.
Yeah.
I like to have more control over it than having it locked. Like,
it's one advantage to the lock camera was the game kind of drew your attention to places where you kind of needed your attention in certain scenes, like where there might be enemies where you might have actually spotted them in the free cam.
As well as that.
But then you also have the thing where you can be spotted by lads off screen because the camera's locked and you didn't see.
With the locked camera too, whilst you had it in the locked camera, you could tilt the analog in whatever direction you wanted to peer a couple of feet, like to the right or to the left. And that was very handy if you were like up against a wall or something and you were like, right, I need to kind of I don't want to go around that corner for fear there's a lad there waiting on me, and you could just kind of have the camera kind of peek out a small bit for you, and I found great utility in that. So that's another reason for my preference there. But look, being able to switch between the two was, when you have the best of both worlds, you're laughing.
Yeah, but anyway, look, to kind of build off of that, the close combat quarters, hand to hand.
CQC, close quarters combat.
Shut up, you bloody nerd. It's
quarters combat.
It improves itself from the previous one where you can kind of grab lads and disable them. You can throw them down and all that kind of job.
Can't beat grabbing lads.
Yeah.
There's one thing I found like odd in the game though, because like in the game, in the lore of the game, like CQC, it's just like this new state of the art martial art that's unbeaten and all that. But in reality, in the game, you're just pressing circle 3 times.
I mean, that's pretty difficult when you think about it.
It wasn't a particularly in-depth kind of mechanic in the game at all, really.
Well, it was in its infancy in this one. Like, they kind of did expand on it a little bit as the games went on. But I found it was, as far as I was concerned, it was perfect because you could do that thing when you went over and you held down, because you had the pressure-sensitive buttons on the PS2, the platform that it was originally released on. And if you put a bit of pressure on the circle button and you were close to a fella, he'd just catch him and hop him off the floor, and they were instantly knocked out.
You need to
you
need to direct them first with the analog, wouldn't you? Otherwise, you'd just take them hostage.
Yeah, but you look a bit of, you hold it down and a bit of tilt, and there you go.
But that's the go-to when you're spotted. Just keep sprinting at lads and slamming them to the floor.
That's pretty fun.
Until they're all knocked out, and then run and hide in the bush.
It was well handy, yeah, because...
So to carry anyway, you kind of dispatch the Ocelot unit whichever way you kind of want to approach it. And once you do that, you initiate the cutscene where the old spinny boy makes a comeback. Ocelot, or Pistol Pat as he's going by.
Oh, Pistol Pat,
Pat. And instead of the Makarov, he took Snake's advice and went away and got himself some revolvers, which I really love.
I love that because it obviously stuck in his head because Snake handed his arse to him so badly that it's now buried in his head.
Yeah.
Like, even in the cutscene at the end of the Virtuous mission, you see him, he's in the chopper before Vulcan fires off the nuke, and he's there and he's got his pistol and he's looking at it and he's like obviously stewing over what Snake said to him, and he's like, oh Jesus, maybe a revolver would be the way to go kind of job. And
see, he's that kind of, like what I said before, the last one, this is my favourite version of him. He's just this little cocksure bastard. But like,
it's great to see him that way because he was always, the most clued in lad. He was always like, he was a bigger snake than Snake in like, say, Metal Gear Solid 2. He was the guy who was orchestrating everything basically. And now to see him as this young fella who was getting schooled by this superior soldier, it's actually a very unique perspective on the character. And it was just absolutely fantastic.
And this kind of antagonistic tutorage that's going on between them then as well.
This relationship that builds between them is great. I love it.
He's so desperate to prove himself to Snake, and he's just become obsessed with him to the point that, like, there's bits where Tatiana is there and she's all like, obviously this kind of tasty one, and he's says a few times, it's like, I have no interest in this woman. He's just completely and totally obsessed with Snake, and like a lot of people latched onto that, and they're like, oh, there's a lot of homosexual undertones in this, and it's like, you're missing the point. You're like,
it's nothing to do with fucking sexuality. It's just something
stop
deeper
shoving
than that.
your agenda into this now. It's just pure tutorage is what's going on. He's obsessed with this lad because this lad has absolutely humbled him, and given him advice. He's been nice and upended him.
It's just kind of an annoying thing that's in media and a lot of stuff. Where it's like, it can't just be a close relationship between the two lads. It has to be something homosexual.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, they must be together because they care so much. It's like, that's what lads do. They love each other. They're not in love with each other.
Brokeback Mountain was actually about two straight lads just looking out for each other.
They're rolling
two
around
lads
the
like
tent.
camping. That's all that was.
They're just rolling around.
Bit of camping.
Rolling around the tent to get a comfortable position. What's wrong with that?
You can't go and camp with your friend and maybe give him a bit of a cuddle without it suddenly being gay.
I swear to God, I thought I was a Western. I know. Went in there. You ever see the Norm Macdonald bit? He was like, I got into to Brokeback Mountain. I thought it was a Western. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, I swear to God,
Yeah, well, yeah.
Anyway, moving on from the homosexual.
Moving swiftly along.
I'm just going to go for a last here, so
work
continue
away.
on.
So Ocelot shows up, the old spinny boy, donning his iconic 6 shooters, and he puts on display this little show where he's spinning around the guns and throwing in the air and holstering them and reholstering them and that kind of job.
He captures Eva. Say, once you take out all of the soldiers, a cutscene kicks in, and he's now got Eva captured. And the whole thing there is like, he's
sniffing her.
He's like gasoline.
Gowl.
He's got like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. And he has her captured to lure Snake out, and it's a beautiful. He's holding her hostage, and he's on the roof, I think, or at least at an elevation. He's up. And he's pointing the gun at Snake, and Snake just goes like, that's all well and good. You took my advice, but there's just one thing. You don't have what it takes to shoot me. He starts taking the piss out of him because he's like, oh yeah, that's a nice gun you have, I'll give you that. But the engravings give you no tactical advantage whatsoever. Nice cock. Like, it's a nice gun, but it's not meant for killing people. He's basically saying, you were after rocking up here, you listened to me, you got a revolver, but you got one that's basically an ornament, and it's stone useless. And at that point, he tries to shoot, and sure enough, the gun doesn't shoot, which is just showing how inept Ocelot is at this point. And Snake doesn't even view him as a threat. At that point, then Eva takes the opportunity to demonstrate her flexibility and gives him like a big boot up into the head. And she escapes his grasp, if you will. Yeah, so she buggers off, and Ocelot kind of drops down at, I think, ground level with Snake. Yeah, and that's where the old kind of spinny tricks come into hand. That's it. Ducky's back there. Ducky, have you anything to say about that scene in particular? Where Ocelot's at the elevation and Snake's giving him a bit of guff because the gun that he's brought to the fight is essentially ornamental and no use to him as a weapon. Oh yeah. It's like, and what was the last line he says? We mustn't forget. You haven't got what it takes to kill me. Yeah. It's like, what? And Ocelot realizes he doesn't have any bullets left. Well, 6 shots. No, I think it's just like he doesn't want to shoot him. They don't specify it, but he tries to shoot him, and the gun doesn't fire for some reason. And Snake has basically looked at the gun, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a nice gun, but it's not meant for killing people." Because he's basically like, the engraving gives you no tactical advantage whatsoever. Yeah. It's better suited for a museum than on a battlefield. Yeah, some such thing like that anyway. But Eva breaks away from him, gives him a big kick into the head, and escapes his grasp. So that scene, where does that go from there anyways? This is where we get to the scene where she gets... Eva was going to shoot him as he runs off, wasn't it? Well... And Snake stops her. Do you remember just before that, though, we kind of get into, like, one of the scenes that can be considered one of the goofy bits is where, like... Oh, the bike. The bike. She drives the bike into him and drives the bike the whole way up his face and
Yeah,
flattens
she uses
him.
him like a ramp and does a backflip.
Yeah. So that is a moment now that I couldn't claim is anything other than a bit silly, but again, like, it's been nested into a story that takes itself quite seriously. So a moment of levity, I don't see that as, cause to write the whole game off as a camp silly affair, because it is not. But that scene is a bit daft, admittedly. But look,
There's another scene in there that's worth to mention as well. It's him recognizing her perfume or noticing her perfume.
it's gasoline, isn't it, that he smells after?
Was that what it is?
Yeah.
When he smells her anyway, under the impression that he's smelling a woman.
Yeah. Not that he'd know what one smells like, because he's fucking not a rasp of interest.
That's not the smell of Mickey.
It's like, hang on a second now. That's not vinegar.
This one has no Mickey.
Hang on
Imposter.
a minute for
Get
a
her.
second. But so look, in any case, like you said, once Ocelot has been defeated yet again, he makes a bust for it, and Eva is going to shoot him, and at that point Snake stops her, and it's all like, leave him alone, he's only a young fella, basically. So Snake, straight off the bat, has this kind of empathy for him. Maybe he sees like a younger version of himself in him, and he's like, look at this lad, just pure out to prove himself, and sure, God love him, don't be shooting him at all, he's no threat, he's
Yeah.
he's good man yourself. There's
Kicking a puppy is what you'd be doing.
yeah, he's no threat to anyone. So with that said, she then says like, oh, you're gonna regret stopping me from shooting him, like, and he's all like, yeah, I'm not worried. So yeah, so
She's like talking away to him, and he's just back locked in her tits again. Not taking in a word she's saying.
he's like, oh yeah, don't be worrying about tits.
I mean tits. I mean tits.
No, there's no need to shoot it all over your tits.
Don't worry, I'll get the best of him.
Oh God.
So so where do we go from that point, anyways?
Eva or Ava, whatever, was it Eva?
Eva, she has to go back because
she uses her bike to break open the fence that was previously locked, which then leads you into the next area,
into a swamp. But
she has to return to her hidden identity, basically. And she's Tatiana.
Like the game isn't even trying to hide it. It seems that all the other characters don't seem to realize that, Eva is Tatiana, but she is like, I mean,
it's very Clark Kent.
Yeah, she has a pair of glasses on her, and rather than wearing the jumpsuit, she's wearing like a female military kind of a rig out, and
I swear I've seen them tits before somewhere.
Yeah, but somehow...
Wait, you're your man with the tits.
But where do we go from that point? So we go into a swamp. Swamp is the next area.
I think it's mostly kind of gameplay areas after that for a while, isn't it?
But there's
codec
calls you can make if you're interested in that. There's probably clips online to give you a whole kind of rundown of what that is.
You get a good one with Eva, actually, where she kind of explains why it is that she defected to...
Oh no, Snake is he confides with her about how someone could defect, because he's kind of still rattled and confused why the boss would.
Yeah.
And then she gives her kind of rundown.
So he's quizzing her, is like, why did you defect? And she says something like, something very vague. Like she says, oh, I saw the world, and, I saw kind of like a world without borders and all this kind of thing. And you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't really explain anything, but it sounds somewhat profound, so whatever. At one point, I think there's a nice little line there. She says, half of everything that I've been told was a complete and utter lie, and the other half was a conveniently constructed lie. And then Snake says, well, where's the truth? And then she says, it's hidden amongst the lies. And it's like, all right, great. And I always thought that was a nice piece of dialogue, and it's pertinent to where her character goes for a finish. So,
yeah. But to kind of lean back as well, like as much fun as this game can have with itself, and like I said, maybe campy's too strong. I think it's appropriate. It's not to say that it's being silly per se.
I think it's very on the nose campy at times, and I think that's why it works so well.
Yeah, like,
it's like
for
every character
word,
in the game is not taking the game serious, but also taking the game serious.
Yeah, because when you get lines like that, you do take it serious.
I think that's why it works so well, is because you have the highs and lows. It's such a contrast that you get disarmed by how serious it can get by the camp. Therefore, it hits you harder as a result.
Yeah, like we just discussed with that motorbike scene. Like, there's no defending that in terms of like, oh yeah, that's a serious moment. It's not. That was daft. But where I think this game succeeds, where successive games fail, is that those moments of levity don't cost the game its tone. There is no tonal whiplash. Everything gels, and you're willing to kind of go in the moment. Oh yeah, cool.
Well, so that's it. That's my most hated thing about a lot of like animes I've seen. That the tone of like you'd want to watch like an anime, like an adult anime, but then the tone just so all over the place, where everything's like super serious 1 minute and then it's super goofy the next, and like a lot of the time well, that worked in Neon Genesis because of how grim the world was, that you needed these lighter moments because
you had to come up for air
look for
every so often.
You had to come up for air, but even if you lived in that world, you'd find yourself looking for stuff to distract yourself from the misery.
You had to find moments of levity between the characters so you could become endeared with those characters. So when the tone shifted back to more serious things, there was a sense of loss, because if it was dour all the time, there needed to be stakes too.
There needed to be something that you're losing, risking, there needs to, but like that's the problem I have with like Marvel movies in particular as well, because they're always fucking
cracking wise and
cracking wise and one-liners and quipping and all that. You never feel the stakes. And like they did make it work at the end of Endgame, to be fair to them, but I think
it's certainly had its problems leading up to that.
It makes it very hard to swallow the fact that this is a world-ending event that's happening, and then you have all these characters coming out with these quips and these jokes.
You've clearly never made an omelette.
Yeah.
Wow.
But sure, like Endgame and Infinity War, like the reason I think they work so well is because the quips went dramatically down and they let you breathe in the misery for a bit.
Yeah.
That kind of way. They weren't just throwing quips at you non-stop.
Well, the early stages certainly had an advantage of at least going somewhere. Now it's just God knows what the hell it's doing.
It's lost in its own.
Yeah, never mind that crap anyway.
Nonsense.
It's become a parody of itself, basically.
Yeah.
But that's, and again, not to go off on a tangent about it again, but that's where Metal Gear 4 fails dramatically. Case in point, they make the comic relief character, they make him a full-blown character, and they make him kind of instrumental to the story and give him far too much screen time, all the while they're asking us to accept stuff like, oh look, the entire world is now run on this war economy thing, and then the next minute they're like, oh, it's Johnny, he's in a barrel, he's shitting himself, and oh no, he's in love with Meryl, and you're like, piss off with that, please go away.
But even the Phantom Pain made a cardinal mistake in my eyes, because it was just like, oh, this is going to be a serious, dark, horrific story, and you're going to feel horrible after you've played it and all that kind of stuff. And I was all completely on board with that.
Yeah.
But all it was an ordinary Metal Gear Solid story. It was all this like really horrific stuff that was promised never happened.
No, not at all.
There was no story at all.
It was just an ordinary kind of tone to a Metal Gear Solid series with all the comedy and fun taken out.
Yeah,
so
it was an empty game.
I'd say it wasn't just the comedy that was taken out of it. They took everything out of it. It's the most anemic experience. Like,
it's somehow the most empty game, but somehow massively expensive.
Well, it's clearly wasn't finished.
Well,
like the fact that they relegated like the whole Major Zero thing to tapes.
They did everything with it. Everything was a cassette tape. Every bit of
it was like the story in it was an afterthought. And
I was afraid to tell its own story.
Yeah. And for like the fifth entry in a franchise that concerned itself so much with its world building and its story and its characters, for the fifth entry in that series to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater and kind of have the story, this thing that was kind of stapled onto it, just hanging off the arse of it, was just like so disappointing. Like, the gameplay in 5 is undeniably sublime, and the weird thing is, like, 5 games in, Kojima suddenly decided, through all my long cutscenes and all my world building and all my kind of character stuff, I'm going to throw it all straight out the window, and I'm just going to give you this big sandbox. And even that isn't in and of itself free of criticism, because essentially every mission in it was, we're going to drop you someplace and you've got to extract some guy. And that was it, like, and rinse and repeat for however many hours.
Like a game by committee.
Yeah.
It's just ticking boxes is all you're doing.
Yeah, and I played through the Phantom Pain once, and I have no desire to play it again.
I tried to do it a second time, but I lost interest.
Yeah.
Like when you're a big sandbox world is worth nothing if there's nothing really in it. But, like, what's the old saying? As why?
But there's not even a payoff in the game.
No, there's no end to it. It just
the whole game ends in a wet fart.
It just stops.
For me, well, first off, you actually, it was a PJ. You actually spoiled it for me before I even played it.
Did I?
It was a weird.
You would spoil it for yourself by looking at the trailer. Sure, before the game was even released, there was theories online that had already the entire game sussed.
Yeah, there was nothing to spoil. Like, really.
Yeah. Well,
all of the story was in ground
nothing
zeros.
About Metal Gear at all. But when we were in CX, you were kind of talking about it, and then you were like, "God, do you remember? Like, it was in 5, and then they had the reveal at the end that he wasn't who he said he was." And then, like, something dawned on you where you realised, you just turned to me and went, "You have played it, haven't you?" And I went, "No."
Oh, okay. I didn't realise you hadn't played it.
It didn't.
It was at that point. It was at that point I probably went, "Okay, right. Look, we have work to do, my lad."
Well, then that was your fault now for storing that in your long-term memory.
Yeah.
But I have less criticism for 5 because there's not really much there to even criticise because it's so fucking empty.
Yeah,
well, the bar was set so low after 4.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, like I said,
been improved.
The gameplay for it is a lot of fun. There's plenty good things to say about that, but like,
if the gameplay was complemented by story, great stuff.
But there is no narrative.
That's why 3 is such a brilliant game, and why I understand why many people have it as like the gold standard insofar as Metal Gear is concerned, because it is, to quote Thanos, it is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. It has the right amount of gameplay as opposed to the right amount of cutscenes. There's long ass cutscenes in it, but you, like the section that we're talking about right now, you're let fly off into this big massive swamp and you have to navigate it with all the crocodiles, and there's traps galore, and there's bits and bobs, and you're playing around with the camo, and you're going through another section then just after the swamp where, say, you have to sneak into, I think it's Granin. No, it's not quite. No, we're not quite to Granin.
You're making your way to there because that's where Eva directs you.
Yeah, you're on your way to
so it doesn't overwhelm you with one.
So you kind of start off fighting the Cobra unit on your way, so that's probably the best way to kind of add a bit of structure to it.
Yeah, because the next boss. Oh, hang on now, hang on.
Jump ahead too far.
I'm trying to figure out now in my head, because again, I haven't played through it in quite some time.
Well, a lot of it's kind of a wooded area at first as you're making your way towards the facility that Eva directs you to.
Yeah, I suppose the point I'm making there is there's a massive segment of gameplay that you get to play through, and for a Metal Gear game to let you uninterrupted just at this huge lump of gameplay. Now, there's your odd codec call if you want it. A lot of it is optional. And you can have as much world building as you want if you want to engage with the codec calls and all that. And that's another thing that 1, 2, and 3 did so well. And then that's gone from 4 and 5. There's hardly any codec calls in 4, any optional ones at least. You get to ring up Rose and she tells you, hey, your psych meter is low. You want to sort that out. And that's basically all she says to you ever. And that's all you've got to go on. But you can ring Paramedic, you can ring Sigint, you can ring Zero,
Eva.
You can get all these different perspectives from this character that will flesh out the world for you whenever you want it. And if you don't want it, you just want to play the game, you can do that too.
Listen, you're not lost.
Perfect.
Yeah, and the reactionary to stuff, like I was saying earlier with Sigint, depending on what camo you're wearing and what gun you're equipped.
Yeah.
They'll have something to say typically that's relevant to that, just like Major Zero will talk about your mission primarily. Paramedic, when you save with her, she might talk about movies. Which is just one of the kind of cheesy, quirky things that I love within the game, where you just learn more about the characters.
If you keep saving the game, she'll talk about movies, and then eventually I think Zero gets involved in the conversation when you talk about James Bond, because Snake confesses he didn't really like it, or he didn't see it. And then he kind of just chimes in and says, you haven't seen it, Snake?
Yeah, Zero, he loves Bond. Like, in 1964, what Bond was that? That must have been, what?
Goldfinger?
Oh, Christ.
The Spy Who Loved Me? No, hang on a second.
1960.
Die Another Day or something?
No, that's
Die Another
Brosnan.
Day was Pierce Brosnan.
Her Majesty's Secret Service. I would
My
say.
bondage.
Yeah. No, we're talking early. We're talking Sean Connery here. We're talking like
Jesus Almighty.
The spy who shagged
Were
me.
you talking about Doctor
the
No?
one,
I don't know the hell.
Doctor No, yeah.
Was it Doctor
Nine-
No?
nine-
But like you learn so
1962.
much about like these characters and Snake as well at the same time.
was
Like,
right.
you're talking to paramedic. You're talking about paramedic, and she brings up vampires, and then you realize that Snake is terrified of vampires.
Yeah.
She talks about like King Kong and those kind of Japanese movies and stuff like that as well, yeah.
That's it, and it's
Yeah, you find out Snake is not one. He doesn't really watch a whole lot of movies and
Yeah.
stuff. So you do find these little tidbits of information, and it's one of those things that like if you want it, it's there, and it's being delivered to you in a kind of fun, engaging way. It's not like a throwaway
it could-
document you'd find in a modern game that you have to sit there and read through. You're actually being spoken to.
pick up these bullshit text files, and they went to the
Yeah.
bother. They went to the bother of recording all this dialogue, and it's all been expertly performed by the voice actors.
Like they made saving the
just-
game a character.
What a bloody game!
Something-
Yeah,
look forward to,
it's like you're getting an intimate conversation between these two characters that you're building a fondness over as you're playing the game. So it's just really engaging.
Yeah, just again, 1, 2, and 3 are just sublime games. Like, you know, I think we can go tit for tat all day long about which is the better one. But like the world building and the character development and all that, I think we probably all on the exact same page. 1, 2, and 3 are just out of this. No other game does it like the first 3 Metal Gear games in that respect. It's just absolutely sensational. But
I'm just looking at the cutscenes there now. So it's the Ocelot fight is the next thing of major consequence in the cutscenes.
that's it, because I was in my head. I was like, "Is it the pain or is it Ocelot?" Yeah,
Well, yeah, Ocelot knocks you down into the cave there. So or
Well,
you leap into the cave
hang on.
after
Do
him.
you fight them first before you go to Granin?
yeah. You do.
So, yeah, as you're on your way towards the facility that Ava directs you to, you're accosted once again by the old Spitty boy, who puts on a bit of a display for you.
Well, yeah, you have a long segment. You go through the swamp. You have to go through a forest.
Yeah, so there's plenty of
And
gameplay
then-
there for you to do.
Then you get to this.
What I
kind
do
of
like
a-
about that as well is that, you know, the player is presented with the camouflage system, but it's not a necessity. There's whatever way you wish to approach it. If you want to go loud, you know, work away and all that kind of job.
you get to this military outpost kind of job where you have a chopper in front and center, and there's a heap of sentries all around it, and that's the area that leads into the confrontation with Ocelot in the valley, where he's on one side of the big crevice leading down into the caves.
You have an old duel.
You have a duel.
We'll get to that, yeah.
Yeah. So again,
But that area with the chopper, I think, is that the first part of the game where, again, this is more attention to detail, but you can blow up one of the supply buildings, and it would mean the enemies in the next area would have less ammunition.
Yeah.
yes, and you could also, if you attached, I don't know, did this game call it C3? Because historically in the other two,
C3
it was C4
MGS3,
because
yeah.
they're set in the future, obviously. So you had C3 in this one, and you could attach the C3, or I don't even, was it dynamite even?
No, I don't think you get C3 yet.
No, I think
That's later in the game, I think.
In any case, you could attach explosives to the chopper, and you could blow up that chopper. And if you blew up that chopper, there's a section later on in the game where that chopper is patrolling an area, and if you blow that up, that chopper's not there to patrol it. So if you went to the bother of attaching explosives to that, you could take it out. And there was a nice little thing there, and this is more codec stuff, or radio, more radio stuff. And if you got in contact with Sigint was like, okay, I don't know what that chopper is, and this is meant to be his area of expertise where he knows about all the equipment and
His one
military
job,
vehicles.
he's messed it up already, like.
That's it. But he's just like, I don't know what it is. And between him and Snake and Major Zero, I think, they christened this helicopter a Hind. So this is almost like within the history of Metal Gear, this is the first instance of a Hind. Because remember, there was a Hind D in the first one, the chopper that you fought Liquid Snake in. So it's like way back here in this, the bedrock of the series. Already now we're kind of establishing things that would later be kind of front and center in the Metal Gear universe.
Yeah.
So it's
like an old wink and a smile to the audience.
yeah, that's it. It's like, oh look, Big Boss he encountered this first, and it was him and the boys that actually named it what it is. So they call the helicopter a hind. So you come across the hind and you can blow it up if you want. And yeah,
similar to the supply depots, and I think there's a ration ones as well. Which
just like food closets, and typically how the game works is if you come across like a storage shed that has like ammunition in it or like foodstuffs and all that, if you use explosives in that room and blow up the whole room, the game will react by making the soldiers in the next area either very hungry, which you can exploit there by throwing rations in certain places and guiding guards away, or they'd have like less ammunition. There's even stuff in the games that's worth mentioning since I'm talking about this. If you're a very good shot in the game, you can shoot a guard's radio.
Yeah.
And he won't be able to call for backup.
Yeah, that's great.
And we're talking about a PlayStation 2 game.
But what's interesting as
and
well,
it has that kind of detail in it.
If I'm remembering it correctly, when you use the CQC to take him hostage, you can actually pry information from him when they give you a frequency. And if you're in an alert stage, you can contact that frequency to call off the guards.
Yeah, they give you quota calls for like music, which restores your stamina.
That's right. There was
all that kind of
there
stuff,
was music by like the Beach Boys and stuff, and if you got the frequency from an enemy soldier and you played it, Snake would enjoy it so much that his stamina meter would refill. Like it would have a positive psychological effect on him, and your stamina meter, if it was low, if you hadn't eaten or you had been through lots of combat and you had depleted your stamina gauge, it would fill back up because he's obviously enjoyed the tunes so much.
It's such an incredible level of detail. It's amazing.
On that topic as well, I don't know if we've actually spoken about it on the recent one or in the previous one, but like in the game, in order to keep your stamina meter up, you actually have to capture flora and fauna, so animals and plants and stuff like that. So it's kind of like got a very basic kind of survival element to the game as you're going through, where you're shooting animals and eating mushrooms and stuff like that. But there's a funny little mechanic in the game that if you eat something, Snake will either like it or dislike it. Typically stuff he dislikes, it doesn't like, will give you like a small stamina boost, and stuff he really likes gives you a big one.
Yeah.
But there's like a hidden mechanic in the game that if you make him eat a lot of something that he doesn't like, he will actually start to like it over time.
Acquired
taste. Yeah,
an acquired taste. And in fact, that there's absolutely no good reason why they'd put that in the game, but they did it anyway. And I love that.
Adding on to that, I think you can contact what's her name again? Paramedic.
Yeah.
She'll ask you then, what did it taste like? And like, oh, it's gamey, oh, it's nice and that. But then she'll react negatively to like certain animals as well.
Yeah, if you like kill a rabbit and eat it.
One of them I think is if you kill a vulture and eat it, she brings up the idea that like, you know, if it ate carrion, which is like a dead soldier, are you technically a cannibal? And Snake's just like, why did you have to put that in my head? Like
that comes into play. That comes into play as well with a boss encounter later on.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. We'll come back to that.
But needless to say, the game is stupidly, like the attention to detail in the game is so ridiculous, you can't help but love it.
Yeah, it failed down the line.
This is the last one that has that kind of attention to detail.
The fourth has kind of stuff like that, but very meekly.
Clearly the people who made this game loved making this game.
Absolutely.
God
loved
forbid
the
you had
characters,
that.
loved the universe, and it was such a logical place to go with it after the ambiguous ending of 2 is to go backwards and kind of build up the universe from the front end, and it does it just, chef's kiss, perfect.
God, this game is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, what an absolutely just tremendous game.
Yeah. Anyway,
but it's stuff like that I'd pay attention to. Like you know, when I'm making videos and I'm like drawing up backgrounds, and I decide to add a little kind of detail in the background there.
The devil's in the details,
yeah, that might reference an old video or something just for fun. And it's the only reason I do that is because I'm having fun doing it.
Yeah, world building and stuff.
And I wouldn't bother my whole, if I didn't enjoy what I was doing, I wouldn't bother my whole doing that. So I can kind of relate, like when I play the game, I can feel the affection that the creators had for the game in it, and it just makes the game 10 times better as a result of it.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure granted, the amount of stuff I've made video wise is like a fraction to the back catalogue of stuff you have, but I'm sure with like regards to fake products and stuff, I've like used stuff in the background that you've used, so there's a kind of a slight element of it being a shared universe there, and nobody in the entire world realizes this, only me and you. And,
I need to go.
The tossy tissues. I did tossy tissues before, which I know is your original idea.
I have to go out and get a packet of Trampers.
Trampers, yeah.
Oh, Trampers nappies.
Trampers nappies. Was it fucking?
Well, see, that is because that was like way back in the day when we were just joking about like fake products and laughing our arse off about that. Like it's just you put it in just because it makes yourself laugh.
You showed me, I think it was a video of duckies, and you were like pointing at the little stuff in the background, and then you like paused it, and I like leaned in, and I just see Trampers and like a big screaming crying baby and an old dirty tramp in the front of it.
Dirty old one, and you'd see in Tesco.
I'm just laughing my head off.
Yeah.
Pure knackery looking
in
one.
In the pink tracksuit. Yeah.
You see, just kind of draw a contrast now, like how much say did the co-writers have for 3 that they had that level of love, because when it comes to 4, I feel like himself had more or less all of the control over it, and like that level of love and affection is just like
Tomokazu Fukushima is gone, so
that's what I'm saying. Like the level of pretentiousness rose. It's more trying to be artsy and like, oh, this is so much deeper than you realize. Versus
at that stage, it's gone to look how well everything I've attached my name to, not necessarily everything that I've done, but everything that has my name in it has been received.
Yeah.
So I am clearly incapable of coming up with a bad idea.
In fact, I'm so great. I should get both parachutes.
Yep.
But do you know what makes me think? That the fact that so much of what was in MGS3, so much of the detail and all that, the fact that so much of that is absent in MGS4, it kind of makes me think like Hideo was maybe a bit maybe he felt like he was getting his ego challenged a little bit by how much people may have praised all these little details to the point where he just dropped all of them and just went, no, it should be my ideas front and centre and no other stuff that I'm not sharing credit with anyone, kind of thing, you know.
But the verdict
it almost stinks of that.
The thing that made me absolutely certain about Kojima and his megalomaniacal kind of mindset and his disposition, I suppose, is when the news dropped that he was recasting David Hayter for Kiefer Sutherland in MGS5, and I remember there was interviews with David Hayter around that time, and he said that he was treated beyond disrespectfully. He wasn't even notified that he wasn't being asked back. And furthermore, he was made to re-audition for every game for the role of Snake. So it's like...
But he didn't do that with any other actor.
No, he didn't. And
yeah, and it'd be one thing like if he was like, if there was like rumours going around that David Hayter was being a bit of a diva or something about it, but there was none of that. He seemed to genuinely love doing the role.
Yeah, he said that he would have done it for nothing because he loved the character so much.
But see, he pretty much did it for nothing. He did the Twin Snakes. He surrendered half his paycheck to bring the actors back. That's how much he was invested into this role.
David Hayter's bread and butter is he's a screenwriter. He was a screenwriter for the first 2 X-Men movies. And that was his thing, like, you know, and voice acting was a side kind of a thing. But he just so happened to knock it out of the park and was so beloved by the fans and was like the most iconic voice in gaming. And then all of a sudden he's dropped for Kiefer Sutherland. And his whole thing, I remember seeing the interview, and if I can find the interview, I'll link it in the description.
You see, this is the stuff now that kind of got fed to me as I started playing the series.
Yeah.
Like, when I started the first one, you were really knocking on Kojima, and like I didn't know anything much about him bar his name. And I'm thinking, you're really hitting this guy a lot. Like, what's the issue exactly? Yeah. And then we kept playing along, and I started learning more stuff about him, like that David Hayter thing. And then when I got to 4, and you started talking about the co-writer leaving, it became apparent now that this fella was fore and foremost writing, and his pretentiousness was at an all-time high for 4.
Yeah, and
I'm really seeing now what you mean.
Yeah. Like, say, it was when David Hayter said it, I was like, that's it. What I've long suspected is true. In David Hayter's own words, in the interviews I'm thinking of, he was like, he suspected that Kojima was being threatened by how much people loved him and associated David Hayter with the franchise. And Kojima didn't want that. He wanted to be the rock star because he shoehorns his face and his name into it whenever he can. possibly. And
Shoehorn is under an understatement. He literally puts himself in the game.
Yeah. Sure, even like you get to Peace Walker and you have that whole Kojima is God, and he's actually in
Peace Walker as a person you can hire for the base. And he's a rescue mission in Ground Zeroes and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at Phantom Pain, sure, every single mission start in Phantom Pain. Like it was some sort of...
movie.
Like, God movie that should be bowed down to, directed by Hideo Kojima. Like, every mission.
Every single mission, yeah.
That's so over the top.
Starring the Skull unit. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
it's like, how could I forget it? It's written on the game's box like 7 times.
Like, his signature is he just tosses every copy of the game, like, just crusting over.
Well, the funny thing was, actually, with regards to... They removed his name from the box art, I think, because they were like, screw this guy. Because they obviously had it up to their tits with him, because he was spending money hand over fist, and every game after 2 lost them money, because like a lot of people
knock Konami, and looked, a bit of animosity is certainly deserved towards them. They're not a great company, apparently. But
I won't defend them.
I think they do deserve a little bit of...
You have to acknowledge that there is a reason they were getting pissed off with the man.
Yeah.
Spending money hand over fist to basically indulge his own delusions of grandeur.
During
the making of 5, before the game was released, they had built an entire engine for the game. Like, it wasn't, they weren't using a proprietary engine like they typically do, like Unity 4 or anything like that. They built an entire engine for it, and they'd scrapped it and started it again, which costs so much money just to throw it all out and begin again.
Yeah, that's what also happened with Metal Gear Rising. That was supposed to be an in-house game developed by Konami, and they had developed an engine for that as well, as far as I'm aware, where the whole cut and slice mechanic was a big thing. And then they realised they didn't know what to do with it, and they just said, fuck it, we'll farm it out to Platinum Games. And then Platinum Games made it, and that game is actually spectacular.
It is a fantastic game. It succeeds where 4 fails, in that it embraces its parody and insanity, and it's perfect.
You see, like, if anyone wanted to say that Metal Gear Rising is silly and ridiculous, they're absolutely right. But the thing why that works is... because Metal Gear Solid 4 took things to such a stupid place, the only place to go now is to double down on it and go, do you know what? Kojima himself turned this series into a parody of itself. So we're going to double down on that now, and we're going to go mental. And I think that's brilliant. Because where else could you go with it? You couldn't dial back the level of stupidity that came into it in Metal Gear Solid 4. So let's just have fun with it now. And that's why Rising works. Rising works because the bedrock for that game is how stupid things got. And they just said, right,
not to mention his fantastic soundtrack, which I love.
What a fantastic game. And Kojima had no hand, act, nor part in it.
Yep.
That served it. That's why... I even heard, when they're talking about the new Delta thing, and people are kind of going, oh, is this going to work that Kojima's not involved? It's like, well, you're remaking a bloody game. He doesn't need to be involved in it. You're literally just giving this a new lick of paint. And,
I still don't get it.
I would love to see, like, a new creator take up the Metal Gear franchise and do something new with it. I would love to see that.
I would actually want to leave it alone. Just leave it dead.
What I'd want to know is, like, if Hideo Kojima didn't have the absolute arsenal of talented people around him from the get-go, would he be nearly as respected as he is now?
No, if you watch the Metal Gear Solid 2, when that game was shipped, it was shipped in Europe with a DVD that came with it. That was like, was it called The Document of Metal Gear Solid 2 or something? But it goes through the entire creative process of how they made it. And you see that, like, one of the things that he regimentally did was hand out notebooks to his team. And a lot of the brilliant ideas were ideas that, like, the team came up with. And he just signed off on them. So he's basically like, I reviewed everyone else's great ideas and I signed off on them. And now I'm the rock star. It's all me. It's all me, a Hideo Kojima game.
This is what I hate most about him. Like, it's just like he gets all the credit for a group's work.
Yeah, like
his name's always like when he's on stage and stuff at Game Awards, he never invites his co-writers or his staff up, like, these are also the people who made it.
Yeah.
He has to be at the forefront of it, like
the reason Metal Gear looks so brilliant is the art director, Yaji Shinkawa. Like, all of his artwork and concept art is just spellbindingly beautiful to look at. And all the characters then were developed based on that artwork. So the look of the series is down to him. The world building is down to Tomokazu Fukushima. And Christ above only knows what Kojima's doing other than signing off on ideas and taking credit for everything. But, you know, like, the man has just been elevated to this godhood status. And I think when you look at stuff that he's doing now, like, say, he had...
is that the new one
OD is a new one that he's doing.
I still don't know anything about that.
Looks like...
It's a Death Stranding 2, that's coming out.
Did you see the trailers for that as well? It just looks like such arse, but the sycophants...
I didn't play the first one.
I mean, even the trailer for the first one, I was like, what the hell am I looking at? This looks like some arty
I looked at the first one and I was like, the gameplay looks kind of interesting. I like the whole idea of, like...
Walking simulator, yes, great stuff.
A
big empty plane. I must go for pace. Back to you seconds.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reel it back to the topic of the day, which is Metal Gear Solid 3. Oh, shit, be careful.
Do well, sure, we're waiting on him anyway. I can finish me top. But, like, the thing with Death Stranding was that I enjoyed the look of the gameplay, but the story is what put me off, which is probably the only contribution Hideo Kojima made to it.
Did you play it?
No, I've seen gameplay of it and stuff like that, and I've seen a few video essays on it, and I'm just like the story doesn't have enough of a... It doesn't grip me enough to...
You don't like
see me through the game. I'd play through it for a few hours and get me feel of the gameplay, and then I'd move on to something else. You know, that kind of way. I wasn't confident I'd ever finish it.
You want to be collecting Monster Energy cans as Norman Reedus, no?
No.
That doesn't appeal to you. By God Almighty.
No. So, as a man of my vintage now, it's just the idea of managing your luggage as you walk across the terrain. Like, I'm getting real into what's known nowadays as dad games. So these kind of simulator games.
Like Civilization, VI, and...
Yeah, like
Crusader
Hearts of Iron, or...
I play Crusader Kings,
Car Mechanic Simulator. These kind of just...
Yeah.
Easy, mindless games.
You can see why old people kind of send the younger people to fight and die, because they're too old for that crap anymore, you know?
Yeah, let me strategize it. That could be fun, but I'm not going to actually do it.
All right.
You play Call of Duty, I'm going to play Hearts of Iron.
I play Crusader Kings. It's a pretty good one. Look, we're getting completely bloody off topic again. So I'll try and reel it back to where we were, which was we talked a bit about the gameplay of 3, what it presents to you, how you approach it and so forth. So bring it to tackle again narratively.
Yeah, we're just coming up on Ocelot with the duel.
So the duel. You got the Ocelot unit once again accosting Snake between this little chasm. And he whips out his...
So battle number 3 for these two lads.
So he whips out his revolvers and gives us a bit of a show with the spinning. And
he starts revolving those...
There you go.
Revolvers.
And I think...
Pistol Pat.
You're fairly grand, eh?
You're fairly grand.
But just to give a shout out to...
Doesn't he have a lovely scarf as well?
He does, yeah.
Oh, he does.
His little beret. It's very cute.
It's not gay. Yeah. It's not gay.
No.
Sounds Barrett.
Never mind the ending image to the previous podcast. That's nothing.
He wore a raspberry beret.
But was it just to give a shout out to Tornado Yoshida? He provided the motion capture for the gun revolving and the tricks. There's actually a video available online of him doing it in person, wearing Ocelot's outfit. And it is super cool. I'd advise everyone listening now to go and check it out. It's amazing. He does it shot for shot. It's incredible. But
sure, PJ could probably insert it into the...
He can insert nothing.
Yeah, I would like to have a clap back to that, but no, I can insert nothing.
Yeah, you ain't got
I've been trying to do a bit of inserting, and it's not working out.
To back that up, boy.
Not at my age. Just hard to even wake up, much less insert.
So this one, as the previous defeat of Ocelot, it was a cutscene. Now you're actually engaged in a fight. And you can see Ocelot's health bar along with how much bullets he has in his revolvers. So as you're fighting him, you can approach it any which way you want. You can blast him.
You can shoot the bees at him. You can knock down the beehives.
Yeah. Another gameplay mechanic. Yeah, the hornet's nest.
See, that's the thing. The
have
game.
A dose of the hornet.
Yep. The game will reward you for using the environment to your advantage, which is great. But what's interesting is that if you stand at the chasm with your weapon holstered and stand still, Ocelot will come out to meet you for a duel. So it's this very kind of high noon cowboy thing, which I really love. And he'll come out very excited, like, a duel, yeah. And then you have to kind of, pull the gun before he does, and this and that. So after you beat him,
his boys as well, his Ocelot unit are in the background, and they keep trying to intervene, and he's like, "Nah, stop, piss off the laddie. This is
it's just between me and him. Stay out of it."
Yeah, and it hammers home that whole thing about like he cares so much about the way Snake thinks of him. He needs Snake to see him as an equal.
Yeah,
he's trying to impress him.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because he just keeps getting humbled.
Because anytime you deal damage to him, you instinctively have to dodge because they fire at you, which he'll be like, "Stand down, he's mine."
It's one of the few good things about 4 where they carry that on. And they make mention of the fact that Ocelot just idolized Big Boss and just adored him.
Well, like we mentioned, there's some stuff that they do good, and that is one of them. Like
there are good things, yeah. Specks of gold in a pile of shit.
But anyway, so after you defeat Ocelot, the cutscene initiates where all of a sudden there's hornets swarming the gaff. The Ocelot unit are being stung to death by them, and Ocelot, as an act of defense against said hornets, spins his revolvers to kill them. And when I first saw this, I was just like, this is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. Not swatting them away or running away, he's spinning his revolvers to kill them.
Did you know what's the worst thing? I remember playing that when I was a kid, and when he started spinning the revolvers and killing all the hornets, I was like, oh yeah, that's very clever. I was completely on board with it.
Yeah, that's how you'd, that's why if you're ever going to any area that's known to have hornets, be sure to have a pair of revolvers at hand. Not so as you can shoot them, just so as you can, that deters a hornet.
Like Snake's doing what anyone would do.
Ocelot, you little airplane there, go and take them out with your propellers.
Snake's doing what anyone else would do, which is swat them away, but this guy's like spinning around, a big old, you sort of wind blowing as each time he's spinning it. But then, I think the Ocelot unit is pretty much stung to death while Ocelot escapes and Snake escapes into the chasm that was separating him and Ocelot.
It was a valley, but somehow it just became a cave at the bottom.
Sure, we'll go along with it.
Yeah, stuff like that in the game. So one thing Metal Gear Solid 3 nails, along with a lot of games of the time, is where they just don't over-explain anything. It's just, this is the facts. Go with it.
Why this? Why are you even asking? Shut up. Go along with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, so if we explain it, then we'd have to take time out of your day to explain it, and you're not going to be satisfied with the answer. Just roll it. If we don't address the elephant in the room, you're not going to question it.
That's why.
So why does somebody control hornets? Why is somebody be able to go invisible? It doesn't matter. It just is.
That's why the other games suffer. They try, the games that come after, they suffer because they retroactively try and explain things that should simply just be. It's like, why is there a vampire? Nanomachines. All right.
Well, see, what I kind of liked about that.
Why is there a man that can control bees? And why is there a lizard man? And why is there a photosynthetic sniper? And so on and so forth. It's like, vocal cord parasites. And it's kind of like...
Yeah, why can a man shoot lightning out of his hands? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and they don't ever try and explain that one. And that was fine. But, even say if you sign off on the idea that you're going to retroactively try and explain these things, at least if the explanation that's given to you is more coherent than the fact that these things just are, then there is a vampire, there is a photosynthetic sniper, there is a guy that controls hornets. At least if the explanation given to you was less stupid or less silly than those things simply being. But how something like a catch-all lazy explanation like nanomachines or vocal cord parasites, it's so clumsy and so lazily done. Just please stop it.
If
don't do that, please.
If you can't explain it in a way that doesn't sound stupid, you have the option to just not explain it and just leave it at that. Leave people theorize, or just to get a jail free card that you play a Snake and Snake never found out why Vulcan can shoot lightning out of his hands. there you go.
That's one instance that he never did, because they actually never addressed that. Insofar as I'm aware, at very least, anyway.
But see, I think most people were just on board. They're like, all right, look, this guy can do it. If whatever question I have,
I'm playing a video game. Not everything in this world needs to be up my world.
If find it,
there was never an explanation given as to why Psycho Mantis had powers either. So they very clumsily, half-heartedly try and give you shit explanations as to why some supernatural things happen, where they just shouldn't. Like, and I've used this example in every podcast that we've done now, but it's like Harry Potter. Why are there wizards? Because there's wizards. Because it's a film about wizards. There you go.
Yeah, so just in this world, there is. It's
wizards. It's a story about wizards, and that's exactly why there's wizards. You don't need to know how and why it occurred. It simply is.
Yeah. If you don't want to go along board with it, or if you find it silly or whatever, that's your own prerogative. It's completely relative where you draw the line, and that's fine. If
you try to lend rationality to the inherently irrational, you're pacing against the wind, and you're just wasting everyone's time with nonsense explanations. No need for it.
And I've used this argument before in the past, but like magic already exists in our world. And magic is everything you can't explain. Computers, the very machine you're watching this on and listening to this on right now. I think we can explain
computers.
There's a handful of people in the world that can explain how it works, but most people don't know how it works, and it wouldn't benefit them to know how it works. They just accept it. And
even if you don't know how it works, it's the
God of the gaps. Why is that there?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It's
God did it.
Magic is their substitute to explain what we can't explain. That's where mythology comes from.
Yeah, well the reason why you don't look at computers like magic is because you presume somebody does know how
there's a little man inside the computer.
But you don't need to know this. You just need to know that somebody knows this. And it'd be the same with explanation in games.
If somehow
you may have not had this thing explained to you, but there is an explanation.
Yeah.
If you go look for it, you can draw your own conclusion.
Yeah, if somehow you could go back in time and show cavemen a smartphone and show them a YouTube video on a smartphone, they'd lose their life and probably bludgeon you to death because they think, oh fuck, witchcraft, this guy is, God only knows, but I gotta kill him because I don't understand him.
Well, they might worship you. They might think you're God.
They might do that as well.
Yeah.
And to them, there's
a statue of PJ somewhere.
Yeah. My God, well, if I could go back and they'd worship Jack Russell's
imagine just leaving, you just you open a portal like Doctor Strange, you just drop a copy of Metal Gear Solid 1. They can't play it, but they're just so mesmerised with it's like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, where there's a monkey, Abraham Lincoln.
They would look through.
It's through, like that, but it's Solid Snake.
They would look through the user manual and they would see the sublime artwork by Yaji Shinkawa, and they would their minds.
There's a guy, after tectonic plates shifted, they unearthed this old kind of Mesopalithic cave, and there's just drawings of liquid snake on the wall, breathing blood.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a bit of a bollocks, but if I could do that, I'd drop like a 24-pack bottle of beers into Neolithic age, just so they can enjoy them and then spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out how to make this gold elixir.
Just drop a 2-litre bottle of Fanta and just see what happens. Well, see what fucking future comes up.
What I often said I'd do if I could travel backwards in time is I'd travel backwards in time to the point that the first organism climbed out of the ocean and onto land, and I'd be there to meet it with a boot. And I'd be like,
but you create a time paradox.
That's fine.
You said that to me before, and I believe the words you said is you'd find the first organism that left the ocean and you'd kick the heart and soul out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Or, no, you said you'd kick it to death.
Yeah.
And I told that story to Connie, and she nearly wet herself.
Excellent. She's a woman of taste.
What's that?
How she ended up with you, I'll never understand. But there you go.
She loves that. She loves that morbid humour. You see.
Yeah, that's great though. What was your man's that quote? I read that for your man. He provided the quote from Metal Gear Solid 5 about how language is in their country. Do you know that fella? E.M. Corin? What was the thing on the book I read? Not to be born is undoubtedly the best plan of all. Unfortunately, it is within no one's reach. He says, downing a bottle of alcohol.
Yep, this is what we do.
I'm just going to run to the lash there.
Right, where are we in...
we've just defeated...
We leapt into a cave.
Yeah, we leapt into a cave.
Right, we're in the cave post-Ocelot battle.
Yeah, so it's pitch black.
Yeah, right back there in a second.
And I'm fairly certain the game is sort of expecting you to be lost a little bit here, because...
Oh, totally, because you can see... And another great little detail
Your eyes adapt.
Your eyes adapt to the darkness. You're now down in this cave because you've had to jump into this cave to hide from the hornets that were attacking you, Ocelot, and the Ocelot unit. And Snake jumped down into this ravine, somehow survived it. God only knows how, but look, we'll go along with it because we'll go along with it. We want to go along with it. And yeah, so you're down in this cave and you have to find yourself a torch. But in my experience playing the game, I remember the first time I played it, by the time I found that torch, the gameplay mechanic of Snake's eyes adjusting to the darkness had kicked in to the point that I didn't need it anymore.
Well, see, I equipped the cigar because it was my only source of light. So I was like slowly dying while trying to find my way around. But like, it's so
That's
subtle.
life in a nutshell, Ben, isn't it? We're all slowly dying while we try to find our way around.
That's true, yeah. It's very profound when you think about it.
When you think about it, yeah. When you think about
I'd rather not think about it. Ignorance is bliss, boys.
Yeah, we'll all be dead soon.
Don't open a book.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. Pray to God. If you believe in him, good for you.
Fair dues. But, yeah. With all that
to draw it back, you're literally dropped into a cave where you're meant to be lost. You don't know where you are because it's pitch black. But it's very subtle change. Your eyes begin to slowly adapt where your vision becomes a bit more clear, so you can see a small bit around. Eventually you do...
Or you can use the cigar for that bit as well.
I just said that. I did that. That's how I got about... No, I'm...
To the listener there, Ducky was just gone for a lash, and he has returned to us.
Unfortunately.
Like Christ on the third day.
They opened the cave and he was gone.
He was gone.
Where was he? He was on this podcast.
He was gone for the lash.
Hey.
Falling out of the bed.
And then he went on the piss for 40 days and 40 nights, and then he fucked off.
Aye. But
anyway, you grab the torch, you navigate your way through the cave, and as you do so, you come to a bit of a clearing in the cave where you are facing off it the first member of the Cobra unit.
That's yes.
Which
beautiful.
is the Pain.
Beautiful.
The Pain.
Actually,
I am the Pain.
Actually,
see, the thing with the member of the Cobra units, they're like Pokemon. They all shout their own name.
Yeah, I loved. In contrast to, like, say, the Fox unit in the first one and the lads in the second one, these are more kind of allegorical villains. In that it's Snake's sort of trial to conquer the emotions of war, because when he defeats the Cobra units one by one, his health bar begins to increase, which is a small.
There's actually a lovely little mechanic in the game that's worth mentioning now that we're talking about the boss fights as well. But when you're facing off against a boss, they have two kind of health meters. They have their main health meter and they have a stamina meter.
Oh,
and
yes.
if you take them down non-lethally, so if you use like the tranquilizer or stun grenades and stuff like that, that will lower their stamina gauge. If you take them out by depleting their stamina gauge, you get you get a camo that's kind of themed off of the powers that they used against you.
The end, who you have to hold hostage.
That's you have to shake him down.
Yeah. And actually,
sneak up on the sneaky boy.
Because this is something that I had in my head earlier on when I was thinking about stuff to say about this podcast. But we've been gushing over this game because it is an absolutely sublime, perfect game. Well, sorry, I say perfect. I'm about to detract from that. Say, if I had to come up with a criticism for this game, my criticism would be some of the bosses, in that I think when you compare the bosses of this game to 1 and 2, now when I say the bosses, I mean the Cobra unit specifically, with exception to some of them, like say the end. Like say the end is fantastic because of the gameplay dynamic and all that stuff.
He's a standout boss in the game,
yeah. But in terms of character, they are pretty anemic. Like the Pain, this guy now that we come up against, he is a very one-note villain.
I think that's the intention, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
like I said, it's sort of allegorical for Snake taking on the emotions of war in a physically and allegorical sense, in that he's triumphant above them.
True, but with all of that said, you could have had your cake and ate it too, with regards to, and again now I will say this is a nitpick, I adore this game from the ground up, but if I had to find criticism, this is where I would find it. You could have had something where, like, with regards to, we'll go back to MGS1, like the bosses of MGS1 had like so much character and so much backstory, like say with regards to Psycho Mantis and Sniper Wolf. They had their own tragic backstories and stuff, like terrible trauma that brought them to where they were, and that was something that Snake had to engage with as well. But once you get to characters like, say, the Pain, all the Pain did was shout his name and shoot bees and then exploded.
Is that enough? Yeah, no?
No, it's not.
I mean,
and
they're fairly lacking in kind of any substance there, all right. But I always just viewed them as like, because they showed them at the start of the main missions. They're all there in the helicopter, more or less. It was kind of like a bookmark of progression throughout the game. It's like you have to get through the Cobra unit before you get to before you get to the boss. So it was like it just marked your progress as you went along.
True, and I will grant that all day long, no problem. But again, you could have had your cake and ate it. You could have had.
It was unmet potential there, really.
I don't know. I think I'm fine with it, to be honest. Like, I don't like.
Like to enhance like Ben's point there, they could have made that a bit more obvious or done something with that, where like Snake would learn a lesson about pain on the battlefield through fighting those bosses.
He conquers the pain, the fear, and so forth.
There could have been,
which does actually make him stronger because his health bar grows as he defeats them.
Yeah, there could have been a bit more story and a bit more context and something to develop Snake's perspective on life more, and maybe
make him a better soldier as he progresses.
Weigh in on the theme of like pain.
And see, I think it lends itself towards the end, where once he's able to conquer all of them, then he's able to bring himself to kill the boss.
Yeah, true. But essentially, what you have with regards to at least the pain, all Snake learned about that was like, here's a lad that's got a load of bees attached to him and coming out of him, and this is how you kill that lad, and that's the end of it, really. Whereas if you compare that to like his fight with Vulcan Raven, Psycho Mantis, or sorry, I say his, but Solid Snakes, but stuff like such meaty, great characters in and of themselves. Now, this game doesn't lack for substance, but all the substance is found in his interaction with characters like the boss. And that's where all the meat is. And the game is so brilliant with regards to how it fleshes out so many different aspects of the world and builds the world. I can't complain. I got so much from this game, and it's brilliant. But if I had to nitpick and find an area that I thought was lacking, it was in bosses like the pain and the fear and the fury. Those bosses were anemic and surface level completely. Like, I think Snake doesn't even say a fucking word to them. There is no interaction between them whatsoever. The boss, or as in not the boss as in the boss the character, but the bosses in question being the pain, the fear and the fury, they show up, they say their name a bit, and there's a boss fight, and then they explode, and they say their name again, and that's them. And if you compare them from past boss entries, they're anemic in that respect. And if I had to find a fault with the game, I'd say that would be my only fault. But don't get me wrong for a second, I still absolutely adore the game. But if there could have been one area that the game could have been better on, that is it.
On a personal level, I think I'm fine with it, but I do get your point after what you're treated with the first and second one in terms of antagonists.
I'm also fine with it because the game gives so much else. But I'm just saying, if there was,
I suppose perhaps
in a perfect world, you'd definitely improve that aspect.
Caricature than character, but I think they play a part in sort of allegorically, which is I think is fine as well. Like, I don't know if it followed the same kind of formula as the first and second one, it might have been a bit tired as well. Like, you have to give a little tragic backstory with every single one of them versus just making them what they are.
Not necessarily, though.
Well, it might get a small bit exhausting.
But I'm not saying verbatim do the same thing. as in explore their tragic backstory.
You see, that's why Vulcan is such a great antagonist, is because they just don't do that altogether. They don't go, oh, the reason why he's such a bastard is because his mammy bait him.
But he's like, he's so much more developed in that he has so much more screen time, and there's interaction between him
Do you know what?
and Snake.
Fair enough. That point made about screen time, that's grand.
Yeah.
I will accept it on the kind of grounds that, like, it's just sort of Snake growing stronger as a consequence of conquering the emotions of war. That's how I like to view it.
I kind of see it as a road to where it ended up in 4 with characters that were just like, look at this ride and look at that ride. And
No, you like that. That was terrible because they had to try and give a tragic backstory via codec call after beating them and having no interaction with them. You had Drebin be like, oh, did you know this one had a sad backstory? It's like, I don't care.
But, like, say...
well, they kind of made it a bit weird after they just thrust this big tasty young one in your face and you fight kill her and finish her, and then it's just like, here, have some tragedy. You're like, oh no, come on, I was on board fighting the tasty young one.
This
now
is
you just
the
made it
kind
weird.
of Kojima unfiltered, where like he's now has the reins and he wanted to do this whole thing of, oh, beauty and the beast. It's like something so beautiful capable of something so tragic. It's like, how about you shut up, you wanker?
How about you
you fucking
forcibly introduce it up your jacksie?
See, that's what I mean. Like, once all the kind of co-writers and stuff got out of the way and his ego began to grow, 4 is like the pinnacle of where it demonstrates just how much of a twat he is.
But I think, like, say, in this one, rather than going into the tragic backstory and all that kind of thing, you could have done something where you fleshed out the theme of, like, okay, there's something here now that you need to consider about pain. There's something you need to consider.
Well, here's the thing as well, like, from a different angle. Do you remember each of the bosses and how they look and how they interacted?
Yeah.
I think that's a success in its own right as well.
Like, with regards to one game that springs to mind that did it, I think, like, it's just something comparable in my head, is the first Arkham Knight game. Or Arkham Asylum, yeah, that's the one. Say, the Scarecrow and his entire theme of, like, fear and all that kind of stuff, and how fear played into Bruce Wayne's kind of like, okay, he's bringing up what is it you fear, and it goes into his past and it fucks with his head, and he's all like, oh shit, I fear all the stuff that happened with my parents, I fear remembering all that shit and blah 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 blah. But you could have done something that's not necessarily like, oh, here's me in my past and my tragic backstory, but you could have made things more interesting with, like, regards. You
could have maybe fleshed out Big Boss in a way you wouldn't have. Yeah,
what are you afraid of?
What you mean?
What are you afraid of, Big Boss? Exactly now. Tell me what it is you fear,
women,
or else, tell me what is it that causes you absolute anguish, be it mental or physical, with regards to the pain, or then the fury. What is it that makes you so fucking angry that you want to see the world burn in the name of it? Basically, you could have done,
like, all these bosses are weaknesses that will make you fail in the battlefield, and you must overcome them within yourself in one way or another.
Maybe they could have expanded on that kind of sense, but it leads into what I'm saying in that he conquers it. But like,
but the thing is, what you're theorizing, Ben, is something they never really
that's what I mean. They don't expand on that, but they could have, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like, look, it gets a resounding pass at the end of the day because of the quality of the rest of the writing. But
yeah, it's a weird it's a rare weak moment within the game.
Regardless of how you feel about it, yeah.
Again, a spectacular package altogether.
You bait the shite out of the pain by just jumping in the water and shooting them, popping the head up like a whack-a-mole, popping your head up and just taking pot shots.
Smack the B-man away.
Yeah.
You bait him.
Yeah, and this is the next scene is where you can take the pot shot at the end, which is another very kind of cheeky little thing you can do in the game.
If you get the crocodile hat, which is a hidden little thing, you can get through this section of the game.
Find that in the swamp, yeah.
There's these lads in kind of hover yokes that you can just pass by if you have the crocodile helmet equipped, because you're going through a kind of shallowy, swampy area, and they just think you're a crocodile.
Which is a campier version of the game where you can find a headpiece in the shape of a crocodile's head, and you can just swim through a swamp, and the enemies will just assume you're a crocodile.
And I think you're making codec calls when they draw attention to it. Like, what the hell have you got on your head?
Yeah. Again, it's one of the sillier kind of more moments of levity in the game, which is just a lot of fun.
That's the thing. A lot of the humor is kind of environmental and like stuff like that. That's where the levity is kind of drawn. But and
like when it's contained to stuff like that, I found a silly item. And I was like, okay, what's the story with the silly item? Well, here's the story with the silly item. Grand. It doesn't detract from the tone and the levity and the pathos that the fucking game has, and that's
I think a guy shitting himself is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's very poignant when you think about it.
Well, isn't the next scene like a trademark of Metal Gear Solid because Sokolov pisses himself?
Yeah, so you're...
It's Ocelot is like...
A nod to Otacon.
Yeah. Ocelot is threatening Sokolov there and... Yeah.
Confirmation.
Lashes in his britchers.
PJ's gone for slash. Oh, hang on. Jesus, there you go. Yeah, so you kind of roll up to this little area and you initiate cutscene where it shows Volgin, Tatiana, Ocelot, the end, and a few kind of boys. And Ocelot smells a rat, and the rat he's looking at is Sokolov. So he plays this little game where he loads one round in one of his revolvers and begins to kind of do a little juggle while firing the revolver. And Sokolov is just like making little ratty, whimpery noises until he finally falls to the floor.
Sokolov's been a little simp.
He's like, woo! Woo! And then he finally pisses himself. I think...
And was the big or the boss stops him as he is about to fire then as well.
Oh, the boss is there as well, yeah. I think there's small glimpses of another character known as the Sorrow. He kind of shows up a few times. I think he shows up there slightly.
Yeah, it's like any time it's like heavily raining in the game, there's little cutscenes in the game. They're like hidden things where you can actually press R1 at certain moments in the game.
I think I mentioned that in the first part. There's times when you're prompted, but there's also secret ones, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and if you hit them there, you can see little kind of different perspectives of cutscenes, which will sometimes let you in on secrets or show you characters that you wouldn't otherwise see and stuff.
Yeah.
The Sorrow being one of them, one of the Cobras who's most associated with death.
Just a quick little callback as well. When you get thrown off the bridge at the start of the Virtuous mission, you can actually go into R1, a secret one, and you'll see the body of the Sorrow in the horizon. But draw back now, as you're about to kind of approach the facility. There's a whole kind of interaction between Volgin and the swords, and he's baiting Tatiana.
He grabs her by the tits and goes full on.
He electrocutes her, yeah. He's got the...
From the tits.
Titty jolts. It was great. But, like I said, he's just...
Somebody's used an Easton.
He's just like a sadist, and the big dirty smile on his face is just perfect. Like, you just love to hate him.
Doesn't he say something along the lines of, because the whole thing is they believe that she is a oh God almighty, the drink is starting to hit me. But
I think Ocelot's having suspicions, but they don't quite connect her to being a spy yet.
Well, no, the whole thing is she is believed to be Sokolov's woman.
Yeah.
And Volgin says it's like Sokolov isn't worth your love, and it's piss and rain at this stage because the Sorrow is showing up whenever he shows up, in his ghost form.
Oh, Ducky mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, say Rain comes with him, and the whole thing is like he says, you can entertain me until the rain stops. And there's an implication there that she's been forcibly
rattled.
She's been rattled by Volgin without consent.
He did to her what you wanted us priests to do to you at that altar. But it never happened. Not to you anyway.
No,
you never got your tits electrocuted. It never got into the...
I didn't know.
Just as a plea to anybody listening there, if you know somebody who's a priest and who's willing, it would be a great kind of moment of closure if we can kind of get him around the pages and finally give him what he's been craving all this time.
I have a great deal to confess.
Oh Lord!
A great deal.
I'd be the whole night confessing. So
yeah. I need our Lord's forgiveness.
I need a good hard confession.
I need our Lord's forgiveness in and around my mouth.
I want to be absolutely railed by penance.
What was that fake ad at the start of Tropic Thunder? Do you remember that? With Robert Downey Jr. and Tobey Maguire. It's like...
Oh, was it 2 months or something? Yeah.
It's like hot under the collar. Oh.
Was that like a piss take of, like, say, they're like, oh yeah, they were kind of playing off the whole Brokeback Mountain thing. It was like, raunchy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The two
It's
gay
just kind of like
moments,
fake out of it. It was great. What a great movie, but we're divulging a small bit. So titties get shocked and so forth, and you see the end is in the wheelchair, and kind of Vulcan kind of remarks, it's just like, is this guy even still alive? And the boss kind of remarks like, he's kind of saving his strength for when he really needs it.
One last battle, yeah.
One last kind of battle.
And then it will be the end for the boy.
But after that cutscene ends, there is a small little window of opportunity for the player to actually take a pot shot at the end while he's in the wheelchair.
If you picked up the sniper rifle, because there was 2 diverging paths before you got to that area. If you took the left path and you went to, like, there's a little kind of storage jazz at this kind of a
little harbour bunker,
little harbour kind of a dock bit. If you snuck in there before you went there, you could pick up a sniper rifle. Is it an SDV?
SVD.
SVD?
It's like a Dragunov, yeah. It's a Russian sniper.
A bolt action sniper rifle. And if you pick that up first, then
semi-automatic, I think, actually, if it's a Dragunov.
No, well, this yoke is a bolt action, as far as I'm aware.
We'll see now.
But
I think the SVD is a semi-automatic. I don't think it's a bolt action. It's the Mosin Nagant is the bolt action.
If it's a Dragunov, it's semi-automatic, yeah.
Alright, well, in any case, I don't remember.
It's the one with the ugly sights. That's all I remember. It had the triangular sights instead of the crosshair.
The NAS, what's that thing called? It's the non-lethal sniper that you can use.
Mosin Nagant.
Yeah, that's bolt action.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, you can collect that, and if you use that against the end, you can take a chunk of his health off, which then will carry over to his boss fight, which is a really nice thing.
No, you can straight up kill him.
And if you
that's right, yeah.
If you kill him, he explodes, and one of the wheels off of his wheelchair will will flatten you.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and there's one of the most hilarious scenes.
It's like the end.
If you hit him once or twice and you don't manage to kill him, you just see him in the wheelchair, and he absolutely doing his level best to get the fuck out of Dodge. And
he absolutely giving the wheels socks there, pushing his ass again.
It's absolutely hilarious.
And if you kill him in that scene, when you get to the point in the game where you're supposed to be taking him on, that whole area is just replaced with the Cobra.
Yes, that's right, yeah. That's like small little stuff that is magnificent.
Yeah, it's the Ocelot unit that are...
Oh, the Ocelot unit, sorry, the Cobra unit.
Yeah. But it's at that point in the cutscene where they're like... the fear is the one that's pushing his wheelchair
I think it's just a regular...
No, the fear
is
there. It's the fear.
Oh, you mean in the cutscene?
In the cutscene,
sorry.
And it's like, sure, you going out there now and you face off with him next. And he's like, he doesn't have stealth camouflage because stealth camouflage doesn't exist, but he can somehow go invisible. And he disappears. He's like,
leaps across the water, doesn't
he? Fear.
The fear.
And he is another character, I mentioned it already, just totally anemic. Doesn't say anything of any substance whatsoever, only his name. And fine. The rest of the game
moving on.
More than makes up for it, but very anemic. And he's the next guy we got to face off with. So we'll play it in that, we'll say canonically speaking, you don't kill the end there. And let's
say you either take a pop shot or he survives. That's what we're running with now at the moment, anyway.
Yeah.
But the option there,
chronology, he survives this bit, and you take him on.
Chronologically, you don't shoot him in the head. We'll just say we'll go with that.
I think next you meet Granin.
So you go through this little factory first, and you notice there's a little locked door.
Do you get hang on? Do you get to Granin first?
Yes. So you go through a little forest area.
You go to Granin first, and then you get the fear.
You go through this little forest area that's riddled with traps. As you go on the other side, you go to this little kind of facility that you can infiltrate. So the scientist outfit that's handed to you earlier, if you don that and enter the facility and are caught by a guard, you'll be escorted back in the building, which is an option of infiltration. Otherwise, then you can sneak in as is. But then this disguise will pretty much just it'll erase any...
That section of the game is a bastard because the soldiers themselves won't cop on to the fact that you're not a scientist, that you're an intruder. But if you cross paths with any of the scientists that are in that building, they'll twig you straight away
but you see,
as an intruder.
You're given the
cigarettes.
I was supposed to say fags, but the what would you say? It's tranquilizer cigarettes, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, thank God you didn't say that.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't say fags. If I said fags, I don't know what I'd do. But you can use that then to knock out whoever you want. But like
just a slight caveat there for anyone that might be viewing from America on the off chance. Fags doesn't mean the same thing over here. Fags means cigarettes.
Do you know what, PJ? Do you want my word of advice? I'd cut that whole bit and just get them to start again with cigarettes.
Is that what it means? All right.
Well, I have to leave it in now. I just have to leave it in now. But
no, but see, look, it's going to be like the C word that even when it's censored, they can still have issues.
Allow me to add a connotation. Colloquially, it means cigarettes. It feels weird saying that word because it does not roll off my tongue. It's just not my colloquialism.
Yeah, but see, that the problem is YouTube doesn't care about your explanation.
So whether you cut it off, that's my explanation.
Take it from a man with 7 years experience in this. Okay. Just rephrase it and go from
you
there.
produce a packet of cigarettes and
you can use it to knock out guards, which is like imbued with this little sleepy smoke.
Tranquilizer gas.
Gas.
It's the first kind of James Bond weapon you have in the game.
Yeah. So like I said, you can approach this whichever way you want. You can go blasting in, you can sneak in, or you can don the disguise.
I love that though with the disguise that he's still wearing the bandana.
But like if you
will not take it off,
you have a pair of glasses as well, and if you press the triangle button or Y, he'll do like a little adjust. He'll move it up his nose,
like Otacon does all the time, like constantly pushing the glasses back up his nose.
And what I like about it is that
as somebody who like wore glasses for a great many years. You have to do that all day.
Yeah.
Get a sweaty nose. They slide down.
Oh, sure. I have a pair of sunglasses that I wear in the car when it's sunny and the sun is cutting the eyes out of me. And
hang on, wait, hang on a second. Wait a second. You wear sunglasses when it's sunny?
When I'm driving the car.
So you wear sunglasses in the sun?
Yeah.
So like on the rare occasion it's sunny in Ireland, you have to adjust these sunglasses.
Yeah. Yes, because
so when the sun is out, you don these sunglasses. You say.
Yeah.
If only the poor starving people.
Can you tell I'm wasting your time?
What?
I'm taking the piss out of you. Relax.
I'm just taking the piss out of you because I wore glasses for the better part of my life.
I'm perfectly
relaxed. Here you complain about adjusting your sunglasses for 10 minutes.
I'm just wasting your time.
I'm just saying that you're wasting everyone's time.
I know.
I'm saying when I'm driving the car, I like to be able to see the road in front of me.
Yeah, but my point is that there is no point. I'm just wasting your time and everyone's time.
Right, good man. You've succeeded in doing that. Fair play.
Hooray!
Fair juice.
So
there's another weapon. Is it with the handkerchief that's like loaded with Rohypnol or chlorophyll or something that just wave in the air?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think so. I'm fuzzy on that one now myself. But
it's like a handkerchief. It's just called a handkerchief, and if you use CQC, Snake waves it in the air, and anybody close to you gets knocked out because you're like.
I don't recall.
Or maybe it's like Snake's wanking cloth, and there's.
It's just so rancid, the smell emanating off it.
It knocks him out.
Such a potent slap of vinegar off it that it'll just knock a man clean on his back, like.
People come over, slap it away.
Fuck you! And you're just straight down.
What happened to you? It's just this awful.
Just running away from me, one.
So you've got that.
It's a lad down there shaking his wanking cloud all over the place.
Jeez, that's some potent load high. But
God.
Anyway,
it's crusty. It's making a crunchy noise every time he falls back off to put in his pocket.
That's it. It's abrasive.
But anyway,
It's a snap it.
Moving on from this disgusting segment. You reach.
Could be like an old sock that you shove up to their face.
Hit him dig in the face with this like rigid sock.
Yeah,
it's essentially club.
All I remember before I got knocked out was just disgusting, potent vinegar smell and a dirty man running away.
I
smell of off cheese and vinegar.
Yeah, I can't walk past a chip van now without getting a panic attack.
All right, to move on from this disgusting segment, you're done.
So you're in a research facility. This is the research facility, I believe, of Granin.
Yes,
the original idea behind the Shagohod.
No. He is actually the mind behind the the conception of the Metal Gear.
Yeah.
And he was thrown aside for Sokolov's idea of the Shagohod.
Oh, that's alright. I'll just go fuck myself.
You fucking should. Piss off, you wanker.
But
fucking corrected me earlier. I'm calling you out now, you prick.
Will you go handy on the curses, because I'm going to have to edit this and it's just going to be a massive pain.
We're doing pretty good so far.
Let's not tank it now. Like.
But so you go on. So the whole point of going in is you're under the impression that Sokolov is here, but instead you run into Granin, who's this big kind of content fat Russian fella who's inside his office, and he gives you the kind of rundown of what's happening about the Shagohod and how his project was tossed aside for the Shagohod.
In context of the time that it's set in, it makes perfect sense as well, because it's like the technology that he is proposing is so futuristic in nature that they're like, this is just too far-fetched. We can't make this now. So obviously they sidelined him for like, well, Sokolov is proposing that we just make this tank that tears down a runway and hooches a nuke off.
Yeah.
So in terms,
something with threads that's kind of more on par with vehicles that they know now, versus like the thing Granin proposes is like, a kind of tank, but it's on legs.
It's on legs.
And he stands up and he's like, take a look at these.
Like, oh yeah, nice shoes.
Nice cock.
He loves the whole thing. Oh yeah, there's a thing as well. You can look around the room and there's actually little figurines around his room. There's a figurine of Metal Gear Rex, a figurine of Metal Gear Ray.
There is a picture, if you care enough, there's of him and Huey Emmerich, which is it's called back to in Peace Walker.
That's right.
I know you have a problem with it in that it makes the world feel a bit smaller.
Yeah,
I do get that. That's a fair point, I suppose.
I hate that. It turns the world into like Coronation Street. Everyone has to be related to someone. Everyone has to be someone's father. Everyone has to be like. I
don't know if they actually even say if that is Huey Emmerich in Metal Gear Solid 3.
They don't. Because at that point in time, it was just Otacon's dad, a guy who looks like Otacon. He wasn't even named at that point. So we will segregate that, and insofar as this game is concerned, fair enough, because Otacon in Metal Gear Solid said that, I inherited X, Y, and Z from my father, who was involved with nuclear weapons development, and so on and so forth.
So it's more of a little kind of tiny Easter egg rather than an actual plot point at this point.
Yeah, so it's fair enough. At this point, like, again, this game isn't one of the games that jumps the shark insofar as the world building or world tanking as it turns into.
I do get your point, though. Like, as massive the world is, all of a sudden these characters all know each other.
Yeah, everyone's related, and the entire world spins in the balance of these like 6 or 7 characters.
They can't even do that in Peace Walkers though, with the Doctor Strangelove and the boss.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, okay, now you have another character who's,
and as it goes on into 5, then Strangelove was Otacon's mother. Say, will you ever give it a rest?
We're going too far. Let's reel it back.
But look, as far as I'm concerned,
So you talked to Granin, who you initially went in to see as Sokolov, and
oh, hang on.
So he talks about the philosopher's legacy as well.
Yeah.
Slight caveat there. So the figures that are on the table, there's one of Metal Gear Ray, there's one of Metal Gear Rex, and there is another one, a mech from another Kojima game called Zone of the Enders, which is a franchise that is comprised of 2 games that I adore, one of which was originally released in 2001 and shipped with... Or, sorry, not 2001, 2000. It was one of the early release games for the PS2, and it was shipped with the playable demo of Metal Gear Solid 2. I bought that game because of the demo of Metal Gear Solid 2, but I absolutely adored that game in and of itself. I know hardly anyone who's played it.
We mentioned it in the Metal Gear 2 podcast, and there is even Easter eggs to that game with the little boxes in the shell.
Ducky, that's actually something that I'm amazed I never got you to play over the years, because they re-released that on 360 as a collection, and I love it so much. Like the second one, all the cutscenes are even anime cutscenes, and it's this unapologetic like space mech anime stuff with this Metal Gear DNA kind of spliced into it. And it's... Yeah,
it was just the gameplay never really gripped me, when I was watching, I was like, it just wouldn't be my thing.
I don't know. Like, it's a short game, especially the second one, and that's the one that's kind of revered by a lot of people. And if you like good soundtracks, oh my god, the soundtrack of that second game is just out of this world. But that's my 2 cents on those games. If anyone listening out there has a Raspusense, please, for the love of God, if you're looking for something to play Zone of the Enders, at least the second one. That is just savage. They're both 2 self-contained stories. They complement each other fantastic. I'd recommend playing the 2 of them, but if you're only going to play one, play the second one.
You and your big anime robots, huh? I wonder why you could be drawing parallel too.
But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Take it away there, lads.
So you have a little discussion with Granin, who you initially went in to try and locate Sokolov. And because you complimented him on his shoes, or your cock, whatever, he basically tells you where Sokolov is, which is to return through the little forest area you came through and return to the little factory where the locked door was. So as you're returning through this forest area,
Well, you do get a little bit of like backstory there. So I'm just kind of watching the cutscenes here in the background as well. So basically, Volgan's father used to launder the money for the Philosopher's Legacy.
Yeah.
And as a result, Volgan illegally inherited the treasury that the Philosopher's Legacy is.
He absconded with the legacy, if you will. So it's only at this point in time that it is becoming apparent to Snake that there's more going on than, just this kind of thing like, oh yeah, the US are interested in something other than Sokolov and destroying the Shagohod and X, Y, and Z and all the reasons that you were told in the Virtuous Mission and leading up to now. It's only now we're becoming aware of this thing, the Philosopher's Legacy, and that is a very big deal.
But the long and short of it is, so Granin used to be like the foremost weapons expert of the Soviet Union before he was superseded by Sokolov and his nuclear threaded tank.
Yeah, because that technology was just too far-fetched for the time.
It was more achievable for the time. Yeah, it would have taken far too many resources to create what Granin wanted.
The nice thing is as well that he does mention that he sent all of his design documents to his friend in America, and the friend is inferred to be Otacon's father, judging by the picture you see in the background and all that. So you see, because he's, as a scientist and a designer and all that, he's fundamentally concerned with his creations seeing the light of day. So he's like, okay, look, where I am now, where I am and when I am, no one's going to follow through on the brilliance of my design, but I would love to see my design realized at some point. So in an act of desperation, he sends his design to his friend in the West. So yeah, he sends his designs to Otacon's dad. And thus, what the hell is that?
I don't know. It's in kanji.
All right.
It says cream flavor in this. Taiwan dessert.
Right there now, Ben is.
Put away your fucking AliExpress lube there now and get back to the store.
Yeah, sorry.
Listen, it's going to get hot and heavy over
Ben
here.
is handing me strange snacks. So.
It's chewing. It's sweet. So there you go.
But yeah, sure. I'll pick it up. So the long and short of it, the funding for the Shagohod and a lot of Granin's work came from this Philosopher's Legacy. So Granin, let's snake in on that info. Yeah. That Volgan has very deep pockets for that very reason, and that's why he kind of he's a feared power.
Yeah.
And why the Russia wants him taken out during this mission.
And how he could foot the bill for the development of the Shagohod and so on and so forth. So, yep.
So there's a little bit more to the story than we originally thought.
Wow. Yeah, so do you want to take it away from that point?
Well, there's not much beyond that other than you're told that Sokolov isn't here. He tells you where he is, and you kind of have to backtrack a small bit, and that's where you meet the fear in the woods previous, where all the traps are.
Well, before we get to that now, he says, okay, Sokolov is being held in Groznygrad, an impenetrable fortress. Upon hearing this, Snake says, I'll impenetrate the bitch. No better fucking boy.
Me 10 good men and some climbing gear.
Yeah.
Give me a week's worth of rations and a guide, and I'll get that done.
What does he say? He's like, it's like, oh, are you mad? It's an impenetrable fortress. And Snake is like, I'm sure it is. Like fucking. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they all say before they've had a few drinks.
Yeah. I've heard that before. So.
But Granin.
You haven't seen me dance.
Granin admires his gusto, and that's why he kind of. Well, actually, no. He gives him the information because he complimented his shoes.
Yeah,
which is great. I like that.
And what Snake says to him? He's like,
"You're crocked, ain't you?"
Yeah, you're
pretty
crocked,
crocked,
which is a phrase
you?
I've never heard for somebody being described as
basically means
you're like, crazy,
but
you're a bit mad.
Granin has taken.
I was pissed drunk.
Granin has taken to the drink because he knows that his design is far superior to that of Sokolow's. His design for what will later become Metal Gear Rex, but it's not feasible within the time that it's being proposed, and because his brilliance can't be realised, he's taken to the sauce, and I think that's quite nice. I think that's a nice little detail.
Yeah, and he gives Snake a key as well, doesn't he, to kind of help him
because
out of
the
spite.
little factory area that you go through, there's a door that's initially locked. He's the one who gives you that key to go there.
He wants to see like Sokolov's life's work destroyed because basically he sees it as a slight to him and to his genius that they wouldn't foot the bill for his design because they were like, we can't make this, it's too futuristic, we can't do it.
He's embittered that he loves his country and the thought of defecting has never crossed his mind, so he's always resented Sokolov for that.
Yeah. To him, Sokolov is a fucking traitor, but he gets all the favoritism because his design is worse and easier to make. So, yep.
So, yeah, you backtrack anyway through the little forest area where it was all trapped, and this is where you're confronted by another Cobra unit member, the Fear. A slippery looking boy, big lashy tongue and Vegeta hairline hanging off the trees.
And a very real emotion that the Irish exclusively suffer from after a night of drinking.
The Fear!
That we'll probably all have a taste of tomorrow.
Yes.
Probably, yeah. I'm on like bottle number 5 right now.
I'm done.
You're done?
They're all drunk. They're all empty.
You drank all your bottles, but you always do this, you never buy enough bottles.
Well, I know my cap, I suppose. I'm drinking again tomorrow now, so...
Sharon is caring.
Oh, he's drinking lecky and all that
But he won't drink beer. Much like you.
Listen, I'll drink beer when there's no other options. Like, I'm not a complete monster.
You're not a complete fanny.
I'm just at a...
I'm not a complete bollocks, you know?
Thanks, lads.
Right. Well, before we derail too much now, right, so the Fear. What have we to say about it?
I will take a charitable hand if I need it. Like, you know, I'm just throwing that out there.
No better fucking
buy.
buy.
So proud.
No better buy.
The Fear.
But, right, so we're on the Fear. What have we to say about the Fear?
The second unit.
I don't think there's a lot to say about the Fear. Once you meet him, he shoots you with a poison dart that you can immediately go into the menus and cure, even though there's a big deal made about it in a cutscene. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Like, it'd be different if there was like you were losing time in the battle to deal with this issue while he keeps taking shots at you, but you're doing it in the pause menu, so there's absolutely no consequence to just taking the arrow
again
out.
now. Like they could have done something where it's a whole kind of a thing that maybe once you defeat the Fear that you get an item that cures the venom that you have, and the venom that maybe you had on the bolt that he shot you with affects the battle some way. Maybe you start to hallucinate and get flashbacks of certain shit that would screw with Snake's mind or something. Here we're...
Yeah, maybe like the battle, if it goes on too long, it will take away from your max health for the rest of the game or something.
Yeah.
Nice little touch.
Or even just hallucinations get worse the longer you're fighting, something like that.
Yeah, you could have... Or you start seeing maybe enemy sentries that aren't actually there, and or traps that aren't actually there. You could have done something creative, but again, in terms of both gameplay and story, this is quite anemic.
It's very bare bones. I'll give it that. Yeah.
If I had to
now there is a couple of like fun ways you can approach it. One of the things you're actually given at the start of the mission, the Psychic mission, is a cyanide pill, which you can take, but you're also given an antidote to cure yourself of that poison. And one of the things is you can do is take it, and then the Fear, who is kind of leaping from tree to tree, will come down to investigate your body, which is a good way to kind of entrap him. So there's that kind of option, I suppose.
He'll think you're dead, yeah.
And you can throw poisonous food because he looks about for fauna to replenish his own health. So you can trick him into eating something that will actually damage his health. So there's...
Yeah, he's like camo causes him to be very hungry all the time.
Yeah.
So if you catch poisonous critters,
it drains his...
throw him in his direction, he'll eat them, and it will affect his stamina bar.
Which is like something. It's like something that they thought about to some degree, but they didn't capitalize on it fully. Like I think now Metal Gear in general is definitely a culprit for that. There are some like ideas that are great ideas that they never fleshed out fully in terms of gameplay, and this is one of them. Like, it's something that's so easily rectified and so easily glazed over that you might not even notice it. Because fundamentally speaking, all you have to do with the fear is break out an AK and start riddling him and chase him around, and if you can't see him because of his camouflage, stick on your thermal goggles, then you'll see him, go into first person view, riddle him a bit, and the fight is over in jig time, and it's not really a challenge. And it's a missed opportunity. Like,
well, that's like a pet peeve I have in a lot of games as well. That like when an enemy is supposed to be invisible, they give them this kind of predator sheen around them.
Yeah.
That's you can still clearly see. So they're not really invisible. So it's like you, as a player playing the game, are getting an unfair advantage because, like, in the world, he's supposed to be almost entirely invisible.
Yeah.
So why not just make him entirely invisible? Because let's be fair, the thermal goggles are like a cheat code in the game.
Or
anyway.
at least offset it. At least offset it with something like, if you're going to give him a degree of visibility, make him super fast.
But they could have played into it with
if you're going to make him completely invisible, make where he lands very predictable over time, so there's a mechanic of where he's going to be, something.
Yeah.
You know,
played into it with, say, the difficulty setting as well. Like, the harder you go, literally gets to a point where you just can't see where he is at all.
True, but like I base all of these things off of, like, say, if you're playing it on normal mode for your first time, and if you're playing that on normal mode and it's your first time playing the game, I can't imagine having any difficulty, especially if you played other Metal Gear games. You're like, okay, the solution is as obvious as anything, and you can just blast through it. And
I remember my first battle with him, and I did exactly what you said, PJ. I just put on thermal goggles, and it was a non-issue from there on out.
Riddle him.
I didn't even need the goggles. I just saw him.
Yeah, and if you...
I was using the thermal goggles almost entirely through the story, or through the entire game, realistically, because it just...
And
it just made the game way too easy.
If you have the shotgun, you can bring that fight to an abrupt finish in absolute jig time. Like that,
you can spaz that spaz.
Yeah. That shotgun in that game is so fucking funny. Like, if you want to just have a bit of crack and you're not overly concerned with getting found or anything like that, if you like turn a corner and there's a guard there and the guard just walks out in front of you, like, you can just have the shotgun in hand, and if you fire off that shotgun, you'll blow a soldier like about 5 foot in the opposite direction. You'll get the alert screen and all that, but it's so funny to see a lead launched across the screen, and then all the subsequent boys that land on to try and apprehend you, you can do the same to them, and it's just gas crack altogether. But in any case, the fear is unfortunately a lull in an otherwise brilliant game. You defeat him, there's not much going on. It's just a milestone, and it's like, oh yeah, he's killed the fear now as well. So,
yeah, because you're on your way to Groznygrad anyway, so you're just going to kind of be running through all these bits. I think the next boss you go up against is the end, isn't it?
It's a Fury first, isn't it?
No. Fury's
one of the last ones.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's in space.
It is the end. The end is next. Yeah.
Yeah, so for you, anyway, you retrace your steps back to the little factory place, go through the locked door, and this is where a very infamous scene plays out, the ladder scene, which is great.
Oh, the ladder scene is after the end, I think.
Is
it's
it?
like the respite after that big fucking battle with him.
Yeah. That's correct. Yep.
Get all mixed around.
And that's how you end up on on the top of a mountain for some reason.
Yeah, there's actually a cluster of like boss fights in in a fairly quick succession.
It's a bit of a Freudian slip there, yeah.
Freudian slip when you want to say one thing, but then you fuck your mother. But
I'm just going to run to the jacks there.
Walk away.
But yeah, so you doing the fear, and then you go to
back to a little factory, through the locked door. So where do you end up when you come through the locked door?
You're straight into the boss fight with the end.
Is it that quickly?
There's nothing in it as far as I can remember. Now I'm reaching because I haven't played through the game.
I think there's probably a little section you play through, right? But then eventually it does lead to the boss, which is the most important part. We'll get to that.
I think the only section is that warehouse, because the key to the locked door that you're given leads directly into the area with the fear, if I am not mistaken. And I'm
No. The key you get from Granin opens up the factory past the fear.
No.
I'm fairly certain.
No. It leads you into... It's the same factory that you passed through to get to Granin's lab.
Yeah.
And then you backtrack into the same factory, but there was a door that's locked. And then you have to go through that door, and the area that you emerge into is the boss fight with the end.
Yeah. I thought you said the fear. Did you not say that by mistake?
I don't know.
Alright, so just to clarify, the area you come back through is where you fight the fear to get to the factory.
Yeah.
Okay, right, we're on board with that.
Dear listener, we're nearly 3 hours into this, so the sauce is taking hold. So do forgive us.
The devil drink has taken hold.
The demon drink. The
Lord
demon in a bottle.
Where is a priest when you need him?
Almighty.
Can we pay for indulgence still? Is that still a thing? Can we pay for indulgences by the Pope? Can he just absolve us if we give him money? Is that still a thing? Or is the Protestant Reformation instead has ruined all that?
Well, if the Protestants had any hand, act, or part in it, the whole thing is shagged. That's all I know. But
anyway, to fast forward on, whether there's a segment between that and the end is whatever. It's a little areas, whatever.
Ducky might have a bit of insight when he comes back.
Yeah, but we will just talk about the end part anyway. So just before we actually get into the end fight, I want to talk another point, just to knock on Kojima again.
Oh Lord, and it's me that gets criticised for
this. But this is very poignant now, because this gives you an example just how insane this man's ideas can get when they're not tethered down. He wanted to replicate an actual sniper fight, which can range anywhere up to a week to 2 weeks. So his idea was that, I wanted to replicate that to as realistic as possible. So I would want the player to fight this guy for a literal 2 in real life weeks. And that sounds so silly with any other person. It's that's something that could never be a thing. But with him, I'm fully convinced that he would have done that.
Yeah, but I remember talking to you about this recently, and it is... Hang on now, I hear a bit of stirring. Is that Ducky back?
He's returned from the fray.
Okay, run that by Ducky there again, and then...
we got through the factory. We're coming to the end, and a point I made was Kojima wanted to replicate an actual sniper fight, in that it could last upwards to about 2 weeks. So he would have wanted the player to actually spend two actual weeks fighting this guy. And
well, I believe it.
Yes.
But, he failed miserably, but it was still the best boss fight in the game, in my opinion, because my first playthrough, it took me about an hour to beat him.
Yeah, and that in and of itself is fine. And the end as a boss fight is class. It's up there with the Psychomantis boss fight. It is
very fun.
It's the best boss fight in the game, I would say. Although the one with the boss is pretty class too. But
that's very kind of cinematic in a way. This one is more kind of
cat and mouse. You're playing with the end as a sniper battle, and you're using every mechanic that you've learned up until now.
So the camo system
to try track him
really
down.
comes into play.
But he's a Q2er, so he's sharp enough as well. So any tactic he might try against you as well. I remember the first time I was fighting him, I was perched up and I thought I'd spotted him across the way. And then a mini cutscene played of him sneaking up behind me. I was like, come on.
A very interesting thing is that he carries a little bird with him. Do you know that little yoke?
Oh, a little parrot.
Yeah.
It's the same parrot, actually. Not the literal same parrot, but the same type of parrot that Emma Emmerich has in Metal Gear Solid 2. Green parakeet.
Yeah, but this little thing follows the end around, and you can lay a trap to capture it. And if you release it, he'll fly to the end's position, leading you to him, which is really cool. Like those little tiny things is what makes it so much fun.
And doesn't he warn the end when you're sneaking up on him and stuff like that? So it's kind of in your
He starts making noise, and the end's like, "Well, yeah, shut up."
The little bird, he always goes, "Grandpa, Grandpa."
Yeah, it's clearly someone just going, "Grandpa, grab it," like into a microphone, but it's just. Yeah,
but fair enough. Like,
not even an actual bird sound; it's a human making.
But as a point,
it's a parakeet, so it can speak. So fair enough.
So, like a point made earlier about like if you defeat bosses non-lethally, you'll get special camo. But for the end, you have to sneak up on him and hold him hostage, which is a gameplay mechanic that you can even do with the regular enemies, which is something they did in the second game as well. You can shake them for ammo and all that.
There's also other mechanics at play. Like if you save the game during that fight and you don't play for a week, or else if you were playing on the PS2 back in the day and you went into the settings on your PS2 and you set the clock forward a week, I think it was a week anyway, and you went back and you reloaded your save and it detects that a week has gone by, the end will have died of old age. And that's fantastic. That's such a lovely...
There's another one as well. If you, I think it's like 4 days, if you load back in, it'll initiate a cutscene where Snake has fallen asleep, and in the end takes him as a prisoner.
That's not just... That's if your stamina gauge depletes, he'll do that too.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a kind of a, you know, the way there's like Snake and Ocelot, that weird kind of mentorship going on there. There's like a little bit of that with the end, because the ammunition he uses is non-lethal. It's a tranquilizer. And if he beats you, he'll send you to like a prison rather than kill him.
Because all the end wants is one last good fight. That's all he wants.
Yeah, with his big old bug eyes. Big old yolks popping out of his skull. Very weird looking.
But needless to say, he's a fun battle. Like you can use like the thermo goggles to like track his footsteps. You can use the directional microphone to see if you can hear him kind of breathe or talk to himself about the place. Like you're in a jungle, so it's hard to spot him. He's wearing essentially an old style ghillie suit.
Kind of,
you know, it's a cat and mouse sniper.
They kind of juxtapose that to the previous fight where it was very simple and just no thought put into it.
Another bullshitty thing that didn't require any explanation, and the game itself doesn't give you any explanation, but they try and retroactively explain it in Metal Gear 5 with the vocal cord parasite thing, is they just state in Metal Gear Solid 3, which is fine by the way, that the end is photosynthetic. So
he's an old sunflower.
He gets his strength from the sun, and it's like, all right.
But did they ever explain one thing about him? Why is he wearing headphones?
I don't know. For the crack. Looks nice. Whatever.
Yeah, it's like surely a sniper would want to hear what's going on. Like.
Maybe it's just the tunes.
Yeah, maybe just like hunting without sound. Maybe it's just like sight alone. I don't know.
Yeah. He's listening to like, you know, Scooter.
Scooter, good morning. Yeah, but like
DJ Alligator blaring in his head there as he's taking shots.
Yeah, so however you wish to approach it, like in the fast forwarding a week one is very humorous, because you pull up a codec call with like Zero and such, and they're just like, oh, how's that? Like, what's happening with the fight? And it's like, oh, he died. It's like, what? Yeah, he just died of old age, I guess. And they're all like,
what I love in the cutscene of that is like he's in the sniping position as you sneak up behind him, and you're like, freeze.
Yeah, and he just flops over.
He doesn't move, and it just flops over, and he's dead. Yeah,
and then, like it's zeroed in. It's like, well, way to go, Snake. All right. Yeah. So after you defeat the end by whichever means you wish to employ, you then proceed on to then the ladder scene. Is that right?
That's the ladder scene. So like Metal Gear Solid 3, and I know I'm drawn on. There's a creator called a Super Bunny Hop who's done like a really deep dive.
Yeah, he's great.
And the Metal Gear Solid 3, but he made a note of this about how, like, because I used to hate the ladder scene as well.
I love it.
I think it's great.
As a youth, but like as a youth, when I was a young fella playing, I kind of go, what's with this big long fucking ladder? Like, this is ridiculous.
I loved soaking that in though, just kind of like how far I've come. Then, like, I've killed 3 of the Cobras. I'm great.
And then it plays the Snake Eater theme.
Well, it was like
as well.
After seeing that like review where he mentions about how the game has these highs and lows, and it lets you take a breather and kind of ramps back up and then lets you take a breather after that. It's kind of got a nice kind of flow to it. after like he pointed that out, I'm like, oh yeah, because you just get to chill and listen to that like unreal James Bond-esque
What a thrill.
theme song. Yeah, that's just class. And all you're doing is climbing a ladder, so you can take a breath. There's nothing going on. Everything kind of calms back down.
He's gone.
And then in the next area, it's all kind of it builds back
He's gone
up.
for a slash. Yeah, what I like about it was there was a clip I think I saw where I think your stamina bar depletes as you're climbing, and someone timed it in such a way that his stamina bar depleted just as he got to the top, so he lost his grip and then fell all the way back down to the bottom and died. After all that, I was just like, that's great.
That's brilliant. Because statistically, that must have happened to at least one person.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
When they were playing it organically, and like that would have just drove them insane.
And once again, I cannot give enough praise to that theme. Snake Eaters is so fantastic. Because I think they actually do it live as well on YouTube. They get the whole orchestra.
Oh, it's such a great song, and again, that kind of encompasses the whole game, like this campy James Bond-esque, take it serious, don't take it serious, but it'll still absolutely floor you with a story kind of thing.
Tree frog. It's like, oh wow.
It's like gorgeous.
Yeah, Cynthia something, I can't remember her second name, but she does a fantastic job.
I want to hear you sing it.
I give my life, not for honor, but for you. That's all you get.
Dear Christ almighty, you go so high, bitch.
That's all you're getting. Yeah, but after...
I can't even do a good female impression before my voice cracks. I have to digitally make it higher pitched. You're like those people who go on Omegle and pretend to be women.
Yeah. That's shut down now, I think, but there you go.
Well, good, because all my trust issues with the internet have been born in that. I don't know if you ever heard the game VR chat.
Oh, I know that, yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah, every second person in that VR chat is just a man with a voice changer.
It's just femboys and all that kind of shit. Don't go near it. Yeah.
Too many people for it to be funny. So there's got to be a fetish thing going on there. I think.
Well, there
What's
you go.
going on? What?
Nothing. We were just talking about Metal Gear Solid.
So we're talking about men being men.
I mean, what? I mean, shit. I mean, tits. I mean, shit. So anyway, after you make your climb to heaven, you end up on a sort of mountainside where, as PJ previously mentioned, if you take care of the hind early on in the game, it will not show up here. Is that where you end up?
Yeah, that's correct.
So instead of the hind, it is the floating little boys on those yokes patrolling.
Yeah.
So, like
floating
I said,
platforms that don't exist today, but somehow exist in the 1960s.
Yeah, somehow the Metal Gear
thing.
thing
You just go along with it. You're like, okay, all right.
But you make your little...
Do you know what's one thing I remember vividly about the mountain? And it's like an inconsequential
Sounds like
thing,
another boss,
but
doesn't it? The mountain.
The mountain, but it's the camo you use, the cookie camo, which rather than it being called desert camo, it was called cookie camo because it kind of looked like a chocolate chip cookie.
Look at a cookie boy.
Which again is another kind of random line from a codec call that you make with Sigint that I just adore. That's in the game.
What do you have to say about that?
I like that camo system because it just constantly forces the player to adapt. As you know, in contrast, in parallel to the actual camouflage itself, which is great, keeps you on your toes. In
Metal Gear 4, they really watered it down because it was just stay still for a second and it'll turn into that.
I mean, it was interesting in its own way just to be able to replicate anything, but whatever.
Yeah, there was nothing to counterbalance. It was so overpowered. It was just so I just would blend into everything all the time. Rubbish.
There's a wonderful meta codec or radio moment with Sigint. There's an option in the camo to go naked, which is basically your character is wearing no top, no jacket on, you've just pants and your kind of overall straps over your shoulders, and you're out, your man chest and stomach is out. And if you call Sigint, he'll start questioning. It's a weird with the radio in the game because it's they can see you, because they'll be like, "Yo, Snake, what's up? Why are you naked?" Just that. But there's a lovely little meta joke where it's Snake starts asking Sigint, is there a way to take off my pants? And it's like, what? It's in the menu, is there a way to take off my pants?
If only.
It's oh, you crazy. Yeah, because I just love the whole idea that they obviously couldn't really have Snake naked in the game because that would raise the age rating of the game. So they left his pants on, but I love that they have the little meta joke in the game where Snake is is there a way to actually take off my pants?
He needs to air his tool. He needs to air out the tool, man.
Snake is out for the bout. No.
That's it.
There's another great one at the start of the game as well. If you beat the game and start a new game plus, you get a camouflage called a tuxedo, where you're just wearing a full-on tuxedo. And if you call boss at the start of the game, she's like, "What in the hell are you doing in the jungle wearing a tuxedo?
But
You're out of your mind." And he's just like, "I don't know. I thought you'd like it." He's up here like, "You're my mentor. I thought you'd think it'd look sharp."
Yeah, doing that look well.
Yeah, exactly. But I just love how
there is also one with
it is.
the Patriot, the gun that you get after beating the boss and then starting. And Sig is just like, "So you're saying this gun belongs to the boss?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "So how do you have it?" And it's like she just had no answer. And also it's got infinite ammo.
Yeah, I love his explanation for infinite ammo. It's like, oh yeah, the feeding mechanism for the ammo is shaped like an infinity sign, so it's got infinite.
It's like they kind of explain it, but like to such a way, it's just so silly. You just go along with it. It's just great.
The little clip in the gun that loads the bullets is shaped like an infinity sign, therefore it has infinite.
So it utterly defies physics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just passed off. It's like, yeah, of course it does.
Yeah.
Unreal.
But fucking.
I love how self-aware it is.
Drawn back to so you climb the ladder, you make your little climb up the mountainside and so forth, and you reach a kind of bunkery-ish area where I think you meet up with Eva again, where she'll hand you the sniper if you missed it.
Yeah, some bit of gameplay there, and you reunite with Eva there on like a cliff top.
That's a great gameplay section, actually, like sneaking up that fucking mountain.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Doing lads in left, right, and centre. That's very good. And it's very easy to get twigged.
It also draws in, I think you might have mentioned it earlier, were there vultures there?
The vultures, yeah.
So
if you shoot lads, the vultures will start eating them.
Yeah, and as it's drawn back to earlier, if you eat the vulture after it's eaten a person, oh my god, I forgot her name again. What's her name? Paramedic. Well,
a parachuting medic.
That's literally what her is. Yeah, God. Paramedic will comment on that, like the whole kind of cannibalism thing, but something more amusing will happen later, which we'll get into. But you make the little climb and you meet up with Eva again, and I think she'll actually.
You start admiring each other's scars, so there's a little bit of chemistry going on.
It's not her scars I'm looking at, right?
Well, like he's realised that he's not been subtle up until now, so he's like, how do I get a good look at her body without making it
press
weird?
L1.
And she's really pressing the whole thing at this stage, because she's like, she's all like, what was I going to say? She's very much kind of like, oh, how is it my charms aren't working on you, basically. And he's all like, go on away from me, you haunty champion.
You got you dirty trap. I only care for this gun in my hand.
And she's all like, oh, what's going on with you and the boss? And he's like, oh, what do you mean? She's like, oh, do you love her? And it's like, nah, it's not like that. It's like, oh, do you hate her? It's like,
I know he says it has
to be one or the other.
It's something that goes beyond love. I think he says it's a connection that's beyond that, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So we have a little discussion there. I think as well she'll give you the sniper if you've missed it on the previous section. I'm not too sure about that, but we'll source that later. After that, then I think you make a little decline to Groznygrad after you kind of scope it out from a mountainside. And I think as you're scoping it out, you get a little kind of thing with Volgan. He's like blasting his little electric powers at some barrels.
Hang on now.
I hope I'm not like kind of firing too ahead of here.
Just referencing that bit there where they're doing the whole scars thing and that. She says she's gotten her scars from Volgan because he's a sadist. So he's obviously been torturing her. So yeah, she's riddled with scars as a result. And she's like saying, okay, look, there's this one here that I got from when I defected. Basically this whole kind of thing, like, let's talk about our scars, because they're obviously war-torn individuals and they kind of bond over their scars from their past, if you will.
Yeah, they've seen
some shit.
Snake whips out his botched circumcision, and it's like, I got you paid for that one.
Botched circumcision, yeah. So like fucking.
But there's something worth mentioning in the. So after they do that, they overlook Groznygrad, and they manage to catch Volgan punching barrels. But in one of the barrels is me man Granin, who you were talking to previous, Vulcan's just basically beating him to death inside the
Which is
barrel.
interesting because the previous scene, he like declares his allegiance to the USSR, so he's not a traitor. Well, I suppose he finds out that he gave Snake information.
Or he just finds out that he helped you, yeah. And it was a Vulcan finds a transmitter in his shoe.
Oh, yeah.
And they're the shoes that Tatiana gave him. So there's been some, there's obviously, he's sniffing out a bit of skullduggery that's going on.
Yeah.
And she gives you a key that will get you into the underground tunnel of Groznygrad. And gives you a ball of noodles as well.
Yum, yum, yum. Ramen, which is like relatively new.
Like a good woman feeding the
That's
fella,
They're
you know?
Jews. Like,
Best way to a man's heart is his stomach.
here's some tits and here's some noodles. Go on about your day now. Like a goodbye.
Is it any wonder he eventually fell head over heels for her? Like?
And and just watching the cutscenes here now myself, and it's like, if I kissed you, you'd taste like a wild boar, or a wild beast. A wild beast.
Yeah, so
He's
after
obviously
did a
being
little
eaten.
scope out.
Or Tatiana. Is a little titillated.
Yeah.
By old wild snakes.
So after you see Granin getting blasted, I think Vulcan takes his leave, and like down there, Eva/Tatiana's down with Ocelot, who's beginning to sniff out a rat from her. He's like, "Oh, gasoline. That's what you smell like." And as he parts ways from her, there's a secret little POV shot there where she shoots the whole kind of the fingers at him.
Yeah,
Which
his
is something-
trademark kind of hand
Yeah.
gesture. Yeah.
Something we forgot to mention, but that's kind of his iconic thing. So from there, you take the key that Eva gave you and make your descent down into Groznygrad, which you infiltrate through the sewers. Is that right?
Sewers where you meet the Fury.
Yes. Who's just been to space, apparently.
He hasn't come back, but he's also
Yeah.
here.
There's something there about that, but who cares?
He said he was up in space and he's seen the Earth and everything was on
He
fire.
saw a world that was on fire and it was beautiful.
Well,
So he's a big astronaut with a flamethrower. That's the long and short of it.
it's kind of clumsily written, but at the same time, I can kind of get a bit of truck with it. It's like, I went to space and I looked at the world and I saw a big, massive ball of shit. And it's just like...
Yeah, I went a bit mad.
I kind of cracked up a small bit. I got a glimpse into the infinite void that never ends.
He saw the flat Earth and he couldn't deal with that.
Yeah, and that's another thing that, like, if they fleshed it out and made something of it, I think you could have...
They do something that with the boss later, because she reveals she went to space.
Yeah, she was like the first
But with the Fury, he's just like,
in space.
I went to space and I didn't like it. I went a bit mad.
It was actually shit.
Yeah.
Bollocks. So
And there was
great.
was there something he got burned up on re-entry or something like that? Some such thing?
He drew like some sort of parallel that, like, with that he saw the world on fire and it was something beautiful or some crap like that. That's why he's kind of donning a flamethrower in his suit.
Yeah. Again, now he was another character, totally underutilized. And
He says, as I returned, I had one vision, the world ablaze.
Yeah, something like that.
yeah,
So like he just
Yes.
he just wanted to set the world on fire when he came
He's
back.
like the ink blots.
see that
Bright
there
spots,
now.
sorry.
Like, I'm just so disappointed that they didn't develop that more, because even just that notion in and of itself, I have so much truck with
Yeah,
that.
you'd want to know more about what the fuck, what's his actual,
Yeah.
what happened to him. Let me know what triggered that hatred of the world that you wanted to see it on fire.
Yeah,
What?
give me a small bit more.
What was the
Give me
motive?
a small bit more.
Yeah.
Who, like, Fury and all the rest? Who are you, man? What's your name? Like,
Yeah, that's the idea of that somebody going to space, somebody you presumed loved the idea of seeing the universe or the Earth from that perspective. But they got that, and somehow their takeaway was, I want to see it all burn. That's a really, like, that would make you curious as to what happened to this man.
I think the first
That
line
made
he
him
speaks
want
to you
that.
as well is he just says, I just came back from space.
it's something...
Like, oh, fair play.
It's something, it's something that I always kind of thought about with regards to, like, the notion of space travel. And I've always been terrified of the notion of, like, say, if we had the option to go into orbit of the planet and just look out into the infinite void, I think I'd lose my mind. Because just looking out at endless nothing that goes on forever and a day and reflecting on your own finite nature as like an organic kind of being, and the highest form of consciousness that we know of in human beings, and just looking outwards at all of that, I'd go nuts, and I would have loved
like the unfathomable inability we have to even comprehend it. It's maddening on a level.
They reference it a small bit where like they reference Yuri Gagarin going into space, and a quote from him where he got into space, and it's like, the earth was blue but there was no God. And it's like this thing of like looking out into nothing and hoping that if we got up that far that we'd see something that might indicate that there was a creator or some design or a heaven, but you get to look out into the cosmos and you just see nothing. And it's like the whole Nietzschean thing of, you know, when you stare into the void stares back into you. And if they leaned into that a bit, that would have been unbelievable.
There's something like inherently terrifying that outside of our bubble is just a bigger bubble.
Well, it's just it really demonstrates how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things.
But the fact that there's still, doesn't matter how advanced we think we are, we still cannot answer these like incredible questions because we're just still infants in this weird place.
Yeah. They're like any answer that there could ever be, who's to say you could even comprehend it?
It won't stop us from filling the gaps of our knowledge with nonsense, though, will it?
The god of the gaps.
Well, you'd be happy to know, PJ, that there's a lad at work who believes that space isn't real, and that all you really see is just there, that the sun isn't as far away as it is, that it's within arm's reach, and the heat you feel off it is the same amount of heat you'd feel if you went up to see it. And this man believes that.
Well, there's no...
Can we send him into the sun?
I really wish I could.
There's no burden of proof that comes with that claim at all, so...
Oh, but you see, I know that. Yeah,
fine.
It's just the fact that he believes it, so, like, it's amazing.
Well, there was a quote, and I don't know who said it, but it's very true, and it says, arguing with an intellectual is difficult, arguing with a stupid person is impossible.
It goes beyond, like, stupidity. It's pure and utter delusion.
Indeed.
And you'll never be sure on that, like.
Indeed. So where are we now?
You're having your descent into Groznygrad. I think you first go through that facility with that riding fella.
That's where you can use the mask. You don't have to. But
but is that where you go to get to Groznygrad?
Yeah, you're in Groznygrad. You go into that facility and you knock him out in the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah, straight after the Fury is Groznygrad. Yeah. So that Fury boss fight, like the gameplay mechanics of it, essentially you are in a little kind of a, how would you even describe that area?
It's like an underground alleyway or series of alleyways that you can like duck out of the way of his flamethrower.
It's a borderline sewer almost, but he's traipsing around. It's kind of reminiscent of the Vulcan Raven boss fight, but he's got a flamethrower instead of a Gatling gun. And one of the mechanics that is involved in that boss fight is if you can sneak up on him and lay into him with a knife and you can cut open his suit, he's extra vulnerable to damage beyond that point because his suit is insulating him from, I don't know, it's a fire or whatever. But again, not an overly challenging boss fight. Could have been fleshed out a bit more.
There was very little in the way of mechanics in that fight other than just knifing him because I remember like playing through that, and every time I went up against him I just spammed him with a sniper rifle or something at a distance.
Yeah, hit him in the head, let him rush towards you, then move another alley and then do it again.
Yeah, you can make very short work of him. Like, that's why my only criticism of this game is that you could have done more with the boss fights.
That's grand. I think it's fairly valid.
Yeah. At least the Cobra unit. I'm totally satisfied with the boss fight, with the boss at the end of it.
I will say for me personally, it takes a small tumble with Volgan fight.
The Volgan fight is a little bit underwhelming, yeah, I would say that.
But even kind of the follow-up to that, the little Shagohod fight is not very great as well. And then you're in this escort mission with Eva.
At least though, it is cinematic, I'll give it that.
Oh, like the chase itself is kind of fun, but the actual fight, the little arena you fight in, I was like, this is not very fun But like then you're immediately in an escort mission for some reason, which kind of slows it down as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that little bit where you're like, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that bit with Eva, we'll get onto it.
I just found it annoying.
Well, it was something different, you know, and to be
But
honest, like
it's
at
just-
the time, like escort missions
It just
were...
feel a bit strange. They're going to throw in the very last second.
Yeah, well, I just liked spinning her around, and remember that thing I sent on to you, PJ, that I just recently discovered? That if you're escorting Eva, you know the way you can like go into the medical screen and you can switch to Eva's medical screen? There's it shows you like a list of her past medical conditions, and one of them has a weird name, but it translates into she's basically had her arse destroyed by trauma.
She's got implants in her tits as well, doesn't she?
Excellent.
No, yeah, she does, but it was so, there was one where like anal trauma.
Oh,
She crossed me.
It was something like that, and like whatever. I only decided to Google it recently, and when I did, I nearly died laughing. I was like, "Oh my god, that took me years to realise what that was," and that's hilarious that they put that.
you
in
can make
there.
her get sick as well if you spin her around in the menu, can't you?
She crossed paths with one of my ancestors. Yeah, hi. But
yeah, so it's riding you that riding Reykjavik or whatever his name was.
Raiden Raidenovich Rykov.
Where it's implied. Well, actually, it's not even implied. It's fairly confirmed that Volgan is riding him.
Oh yeah.
Riding.
It all but says it, like yeah.
Like I said, you can take
I know the Major better than anyone else.
how he finds that out. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so you can incapacitate him and then don his disguise as him. And if you do so, the guards will not attack you no matter what you do, I don't think, unless you actually kill them. But like you can beat the crap out of them and all that kind of stuff, and they'll just salute you. And I think you can make a codec call for that, and the major will allude to that. It's like these people will follow your very order because he's the major. They're not going to do anything. So they'll just salute you as you're beating the crap out of them, which is great fun. You proceed on to that point to... I think this is where you actually meet up with Sokolov, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you get into the grounds of Grozny Grad. You can, as we said, go down the route of disguises, all the rest.
No, this is after incapacitating your Mano, the major, and then donning his disguise. You use that to get into a particular part of the facility to get to Sokolov.
Yeah, like once you get inside, you can use the whole scientist rig out again, can't you?
I think so.
Sorry, just interrupt you. I just looked up that thing. So it's proctitis. That's in Eva's medical screen. And proctitis is inflammation of the lining of the rectum.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Unreal. You love to see it.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
It's like proctitis, lower back pain, electrical burns.
Broken arse is what she's got.
Broken arse. Yeah, she's had the arse
Hole
absolutely
is destroyed.
That's great. Little bit.
There's no amount of medicine that can treat that.
Yeah, that's something that that helps me sleep at night. But anyway,
Proceeding on, I think we get to a point here where we find Sokolov in a little room after he's had a little discussion, I think, with Tatiana. Whatever they're discussing, I can't remember. But essentially, you're there to be like, look, I'm here to get you out of here.
And he's like, you're too late, the Shagohod's already built, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's near completion.
Near completion.
the horse is bolted, lad.
And he's like, I'm so tired, I don't even know if I want to defect anymore. And Snake's like, what about your family? Don't you want to see them again and so forth? And kind of rallies him back up. But before they can kind of make any headway of getting out, Volgan approaches. And this is where Snake dons the kind of riding mask once more. Or what's his name in this one? Ryken, is it?
Major Raidenovich Rykov.
Rykov, yeah. And Volgan kind of comes in and sees the major, or who he perceives as the major, and as a confirmation of identity, he proceeds to grab a handful of knob and
So no
a crotch grab,
yeah.
and
That's not the tool I remember.
that's literally what happens. He kind of feels around, and he's like,
This tool is far too big.
kind of Snake pulls away, and he grabs it again, and he's like, hang on a second now.
Hang on a minute for a second.
This is no knob that I'm familiar with. Who are you, imposter?
This doesn't smell like vinegar.
Hang on a second.
This smells of elderberry.
So, yeah, the jig is up. I think he whips off the mask from you, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he tears the mask off Snake. Snake is revealed to Volgan. Volgan sees who it is, and then proceeds to bait the ever-loving shite out of him.
Well, it's actually... I think when Snake is cornered at that point, he gets the upper hand on Vulcan.
Yeah, he got a bit of CQC and he puts him to the ground and he holds the gun like
the boss comes in.
Like a little
That's
man.
right.
It's when the boss comes in then that like he has to... Actually, the boss says it to Snake. It's like, what are you doing wearing this fairy mask? Is what she says.
It was a different time, lads.
Yeah. So...
This game has themes that might offend new viewers.
I was just looking at the cutscene there now, and I remember just how weirdly it is that Snake holds that tiny little gun when he takes it off Vulcan. He holds it like a little squirt gun.
Sure it is. It's a tiny joke, isn't it?
It's a Makarov, is it?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But yeah, so I think the boss comes in and disables him once again.
Yeah, she puts him in his place fairly lively.
And it's from there the Vulcan is just like, I'm going to have a bit of fun with you, lad.
Yeah,
Proceeds to bait him with his electric powers and punches. And this is where... After Snake gets Bane, he's taken hostage along with Sokolov.
So yeah, the cat's out of the bag now. You've been captured.
The game is up.
You're fairly well douched.
And that would mark the what, about the 60-70%?
Meh.
Your way through the story of the game?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So,
which is probably a great place to leave it off at this point.
Yeah, because we're nearly 3.5 hours in.
By gosh almighty.
Or 2.5, we just have to say all the times. We don't know what you cut it down to.
Yeah.
Never gets cut, yeah.
And that's where we are after 10 minutes.
There you go.
That is how I met your mother.
But yeah, we've done a job of getting through the game.
A certainly far more poignant one than the first part where it was just rambling.
This will certainly be one of the podcasts of all time.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Wow. Incredible.
Tremendous. So, yeah, with all that said, that's
all she wrote, folks, for this episode.
That's all she wrote for this episode, I reckon. Yeah, so, we've done a solid job. We've done a job of. I think
we did pretty good.
We've done one of the jobs of all time.
Yeah, and
we did that thing. Well done.
Yeah. So, with all that said,
I suppose
we're all fairly sauced now. So we'll pick it up from there in the next episode.
Yeah, so for that, we would like to thank you for joining us for another episode. Please leave some comments below. Tell us how you liked it and all that kind of job.
if you didn't like it and you don't agree with anything that was said, please feed the algorithm and natter away anyway. And let us not forget.
Or if you have any...
Let us not forget, this is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship.
Aye.
So if you disagree with any of the points that have been raised here tonight, by all means, feed said algorithm away. But, yeah.
Drop a like, hit that subscribe button.
Or... Well, considering like anybody who's made it to the end of this one's probably made it to the end of the last one. So, if you have any questions that you've sat through nearly 5 or 6 hours of this
there must be
be
something you like if you've made it this far.
If there's something you want us to touch on at the beginning of maybe the next podcast that PJ can make a note of there and read out, we can have a chat about that. Comment down below, because we've no idea. We don't get immediate feedback, so by all means pop it in the comments below and
let us
we'll see
know
if we have any wild or dangerous opinions of what you might have to ask.
Incredible. So I suppose from there we'll sign off.
Yeah.
So thank you once again.
We've been joined by our great and brilliant YouTube sensation,
everyone's favourite feathery fowl,
everyone's favourite
Ducky,
internet,
everyone's favourite Ben,
and lovable Ben.
Yeah, there you go.
And of course, everyone's favourite host,
and me, yeah,
known by many names, most of which are pejoratives. PJ.
Yeah, and we'll give a special bull of bust there for Ben, who's been absolutely carrying the narrative of this podcast the whole way through.
Thank you.
By expertly reading all the cutscenes that myself and PJ have struggled to remember.
Yeah, you have it in front of you. I don't have nothing, but I'm able to remember. So if you know what that, good or mahagut, agus schlango full. So with that,
get your bag and baggage
and fuck off.
I have no interest in this woman.